numbers.
Hey guys, welcome to ClevelandMoto podcast number 508. Light them up, boys.
Oh wait, I do have.
We've got cocktails. We got drinks. We got leftover drinks from band camp.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty.
John, to answer your question, I think German chocolate cake comes from Texas.
Yes, it does. Oh, and to my immediate left we have
Dan Krumke.
to his immediate left,
Steve Sleepy.
and the Honda Whisperer is
Johnny Mac.
and around the corner we've got
Sean Noel.
whoa, Sean.
Whoa,
Whoa.
Hawk 2.
Got a little
Sound like you're choking
Got a
on
little
something.
verklempt there. Sorry,
a
friend.
little bukkake in his throat. And behind the bar,
Tom Bennington.
yay! We were talking about Burning Man, and we were just before the show started, and I went to
As you do.
I went to
As
Burning
you do.
Man a very long time ago, 92 and 93, and the first time that I went. You know, when you get there, and this was a long time before social media and everybody's camera was a phone, everybody's phone was a camera, et cetera. Like back then, it was a little 35 millimeter camera that you'd crank on, take pictures and then have to get them developed. You'd have to pass the sensors at Walgreens to relive your experience at Burning Man, and there was very little chance of that happening. But when we got there, within, I don't know, we were there Wednesday, so we were getting the most out of the weekend. And we did the thing where we flew into Reno and then we rented the RV and took that back before it became so popular that companies in Reno wouldn't rent you RVs. And then companies in Reno opened just to rent you RVs for Burning Man. And we went down and yep, there you're getting some feedback there.
I know.
Okay, all right. There you go. And so the long and short of it is, on arrival, I had no idea of what to expect. Burning Man, this was the first thing for me, and I kind of knew what it was, but I had no idea the scope of the whole thing. And the playa was a lot smaller back then. It was only like a half of the pie wheel, right? And so what I saw was that even on Wednesday, that the number of shirt cockers or Winnie the Poohs or Porky Pigs, basically men with a long sleeve or, whatever shirt on to beat the sun. And then like a fun big hat because it's super, you're in the middle of the fucking desert, but they'd be pantsless and they would have a pair of Tevas on or whatever. And it was just their opportunity to let their freak flag fly. These guys don't get to hang dong very much. And this was their opportunity to do so. So we noticed that this was not a small population, that these were a lot of dudes wandering around just shirt cocking. Mm-hmm. And so at some point, a bunch of the people I was there with were kind of like, man, if there was only a way that we could address this issue. And you find a problem that needs solving and solve it, my friends. That's what you got to do. And already on our Wednesday, there was great talk about who was going to run into town for supplies, because back in that era, you found out when you got there what you didn't have. Right. And so you got there and you realized how inhospitable the terrain was and that you still needed some more supplies. So I volunteered to drive the truck the 2 hours back in to get stuff, more ice, more food, more whatever. Okay, great. I'm your guy. Give me the opportunity to drive really, really fast across the desert with a rented van or a rented car, and I'm your man. So we were setting up camp. We had a giant laundry list of shit that we needed. And I was traveling with a friend of mine who's also super duper good at making shit. So in the 2 hours between the playa and town, we cooked up the idea of a potato cannon. But it wasn't going to be just a potato cannon, because we can all build potato cannons pretty quickly with one trip to Home Desperate. It was going to be a potato cannon that we could fire trousers at people. So we went to the Goodwill thrift, and we went to Army Navy thrift, and we went to Salvation Army thrift. We hit all the thrift stores, and we bought every $1 pair of trousers we could find. Shorts, trousers, the whole nine. And what we did was, over the course of 3 days following and several cans of hairspray, we learned the correct tightness of the pack, like how to roll the pants up just so tightly and to just the right amount of hairspray to launch a pair of trousers out of the muzzle of that thing at 400 feet per second. They would go out 70 or 80 feet, bloom into a pair of trousers that would fall out of the sky onto the intended recipient of said trousers. It was called the pants cannon, and I was proud to see that it lives on. And so that pants cannons do exist still. Something we invented has been carried through the ages, and it was very fun with us. It was sort of a work in progress. So we had the pants, we had the cannon, And it just was a question of getting the mix just right and getting the roll just right. So, you roll it too loose, they go 20 feet out of the muzzle and they open up too early. You lose the effect. You roll them up tighter, they go all the way. And it turns out, if you guys are science guys at home, you'll know that a 45-degree trajectory is the best trajectory to get the maximum range out of any trebuchet or other fun firing device. So we were getting so good at that 45-degree point that we were getting a 70-foot launch on these pants cannons. And occasionally you'd get a ringer, like the perfect pair of polyester trousers was like self-lubricating. And they would just go on the hunt.
Velour.
And
It's like silk wadding.
we're not going to say that there weren't some direct fire events.
Direct
Sure.
cock
Nobody
action.
was injured.
Right.
Nobody was injured. But we did have one or two that were headshots. And the funny thing is, when you get a headshot, the guy doesn't know it's coming. He's just doing his thing. He's got his beverage. He's got his headgear on.
He's got his dong out.
He's jamming
got his
out with his
dong
cock out. Yeah.
He's literally. He is spocked out with his cock out.
So speaking of the cock out thing,
Yeah.
right? So have you ever gone to the beach and and you lay back and your arms in here get sun?
Oh, for the first time ever.
Because not a lot hits
Never.
this area, right?
Yeah.
So you're in a desert.
Yeah.
Lots of sun. Mm-hmm. Lots of really effective sun.
The answer is I've seen sunburned dick before.
That's what I was going to say. Like,
Hey,
but
you
what
know
a line! Hey, could you rub some lotion on my?
Well, this is where Phil's favorite line appears. What is
ahead.
it? Let's go.
Well, which one? Because I got several.
It's like a sore dick deal.
It's a
Sort
sort
of
of deal. You just can't beat it. That for us, I accidentally hit a fella. I hit a fella square in the face hole, and the one I felt terrible because the pants did not deploy. It was the full sabot, like it was still fully packaged.
Yeah, yeah.
And it hit him, and when it hit him, it did wrap around his head like a hungry octopus. If you could just imagine the legs going around your head. And so he was more shocked than hurt. He wasn't injured, but he was surprised.
the one guy that got the 501s is still recuperating.
There were no 501. I promise you, there were no 501s. There were a lot of lounging pants.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We learned that
I feel like the sweat pant would be the way to go here because it fits everybody.
But again, that was one of our crowd pleasers
Yeah.
by far was the sweatpants and the lounging pants.
So no rocks in the pockets.
No,
You know what?
Especially if you found the juicy ones.
Effectively and efficiently, you should have just got some banana hammocks and just.
I think that they did. I think
That would be for close quarters.
close quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that what we had was nailed in. We tried boxer shorts, too small, didn't fill the breach, didn't fill the barrel, didn't
But-
seal it up enough.
You know what you could have done?
Oh?
You could have taken pants and wrapped them up with full of them. So then when it went out, you had the big
you-
burst, and then you
yeah.
got shrapnel.
That's a
falling
firework,
everywhere.
man.
Yeah, right.
If the pants opened up and 5 or 6 pairs of thongs or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He's Merved the delivery system.
I love that idea. Oh my god!
We're gonna have to try. Hey, Mid Ohio's coming up. We should
Yeah.
try this.
We could,
Yep.
but you see, nobody wanders around at Mid Ohio with
But if you launch a bunch of banana hammocks,
I think it's getting popular enough that we're
Right.
getting different camps. We've already had black metal camp.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
do.
This
We've
could be
already
good for
had
like homeless
interesting-
people.
They
So-
call that death metal camp.
Death metal camp.
Yeah, right.
I
could
thought
see,
it was like Norwegian black metal. Weren't they like black?
I think it's the same thing.
Well, they
Is
have.
it? Okay.
Do they all look like border collies?
Well, they had the black.
Because if they look like border collies, then it's black. Then it's black.
They
metal.
all look like Crow. Yeah. They did. Everybody there looked like Crow.
Movie sign.
You could just do it for homeless people. Drive by, pants, underwear, hoodie.
I'm surprised it didn't catch on.
You know,
Drive-by pantsing.
Drive the pants would be good. I liked last year though. Our friends from California were there, and like their kid was over at our camp. Some guy handed me his brand new motorcycle to drive the kid over to the death metal thing because the parents were moshing.
Right.
And I'm like, this is the right crowd.
This is the perfect crowd.
Yeah.
Are they coming back? Because that's the.
That was Wendy and her husband.
That's Wendy,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Because
surprised.
I know a lot. You said a lot of the Misfits aren't coming. this
Right,
time.
correct. Liza's going to be the only misfit unless somebody changes. Knock. No pressure, knock.
No pressure, knock.
Fucking knock.
Fucking
Fucking knock.
But you also said there was somebody else planning on coming.
wouldn't mind a
and
Stumpy
wanting
John.
wanting to set up a tiki
Or Naked
bar.
Jim.
Yeah.
Or any of those guys.
Well, the
They should-
Nokomoto guys. The Nokomoto. Can I say this?
Yeah, you already did.
I mean, you kind of
I didn't say it last week
2 weeks ago.
on the podcast.
I think so.
Nokomoko is planning on showing up with Tiki Bar.
Nice.
Right. They're planning on showing up.
So no
bar.
pressure.
I'll bring all the.
We're showing up with a tiki bar, but
Well, you have to help us build it.
Yeah.
Right.
I was one toke away from a 3 a.m. nightclub purchase to bring to Mid Ohio.
Oh, really?
I was looking at those 20-foot blow up nightclubs.
The nightclubs.
And I was like, I was putting
No.
money together in like a bullshit account, and I was like, I can't do it. It
Well,
was
that's
so
the
close.
the Irish pub. I think is the way to go. The
Irish pub would be
bouncy
good.
house.
Yeah, the Irish pub bouncy house. All those things are really good if you have a constant and reliable source of about 10 amps.
Well,
I
also,
now-
I thought
I now
about the
have-
humidity and the wetness, and then I thought about a rubber enclosed thing,
Right.
with
Yeah.
all that humidity. And I was
A dark.
So thanks to a generous donation this past weekend, I now have 5 propane tanks.
Oh, yes, you do.
And the generator, which will produce all the power in the world. So
Correct.
if we need a bouncy
Right.
house, we can
Right.
probably get this.
Yeah, inflatable bouncy house. Yeah, and that is the truth. Like what people doesn't. I don't know how many people have been out in the sun for a whole lot, but my general rule of thumb is. Last week I spent 3 nights in a U-Haul. U-Haul, tandem rear axle, 25 footer, whatever it is. And I now pronounce that as being the ultimate tent. As far as tents go, a U-Haul is amazing.
Ian really sold that.
I can
that was
stand
Ian's
up.
thing where they flew in and they got the U-Haul and you were like, that is the
And I
brilliant
use
way.
the mom's attic for all the stuff. And when I get to the place, everybody, it's like a portable REI. We show up and everybody's like, look, camping gear. Take what you need. Take what you want, but want what you take. Right. And I expect some of it to come back. And that worked out great. Once we unasked the AO and got all the bikes out of there, and you built an entire kitchen out of there on Sunday. Jesus fucking Christ. It was amazing how much went into there.
You guys did bring the lounge, though. We didn't have the extra pop-up.
However, when we left, we were we were as loaded as a U-Haul's been in a very long time. I was Tetrising the fuck out of that thing. And when we rolled out, everything up to 6 feet deep was no sunlight. It was game on because of extra things that we had acquired. One, Scotty won a fucking scooter.
That's true.
So Scotty won a whole Vespa Sprint.
Yeah.
That wasn't expected.
Wow.
Other bikes that were in other transportations ended up in the U-Haul coming home. Hey, that's great. We ended up with an extra cooler, an extra pop-up,
An
a bunch
extra
of other
camping
chairs.
set.
It was cool. It was great. But it was fun to be able to load all that shit up.
Oh, yeah.
And then on Sunday, I was like,
we got the bowl.
You got the bowl. Bring the bull out. Bring the bull out. That is fucking creepy weird. Where did that come from, Tom?
So here,
Oh yeah.
Where did this bull come from?
Tom always
Benny the Bull.
steals things.
no, read this. Read the saddle.
So the saddle says, Cox
No,
block.
Annie's Cox block.
Annie's Cox block. Right. Annie Cox is one of the organizers of the Bandcamp Scooter Rally. And this is Benny the Bull.
Yeah.
And Benny the Bull. And again,
It's just like this.
is it not a sex toy?
I have no idea.
Okay,
They
all
were
right.
talking about the tail for a while.
Yeah,
but
it's weird.
So
No, this is a boppy.
If you're
this is like
brave
a
enough-
kid. The kids bounce on
Okay,
this
it's
like
like
when they're 2.
it's like what they call the space
and I
moon
think
jumpers.
I don't want to know where that tail's been.
I think
moon bouncer.
I kind of want to know where that tail's been.
It's remarkably nicely made.
No,
and-
it's
We'll
it's
sniff
very
it.
nice.
You should be able to tell where it's been by
Yeah,
giving
no.
it a sniff.
I used to judge rubber items by whether or not my Rottweiler could eat them, and I think that would give my Rottweiler at least 2 hours of enjoyment. Yeah,
So it was on the stage, and then it ended up out in the grass.
it's just
And I
like that
rode-
fucking Dickosaurus Rex you got over
Exactly.
there.
I rode by. It was there, and I went, "Well, screw it. I'm grab the bowl."
Yes, you have a way to bring home things like the Erectosaurus
Yeah,
Rex over
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Cockosaurus.
And so
My
I was,
God.
and so I was riding around with it, and then of course I stop and we have dinner, and we start drinking and hanging out and everything else, and it just kind of hung out at the campsite.
It did hang out at the campsite.
And then when we packed up, I was like, well, I took the wig back,
Ah, yes.
and I was like, well, I should take Benny back up there because somebody's got to be. And I talked to a couple of people, and they were like, we don't know what the hell you're talking about. What are you talking about? A bowl? I said, no, it's over at the campsite. If you're missing it. It ended up in the U-Haul. If you need it back, let me know. And everybody was like, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
And the reason we're talking so much about Bandcamp is we're getting to a very much a ClevelandMoto public safety advisory. Sleepy would be so kind as to throw this image up onto the main screen for the folks at home.
I can try.
If you'd be so kind, because this is one of those things where we say that not all souvenirs are a rubber bowl.
I know that leg.
Oh yeah.
Some
we
That's a
didn't.
rubber
We
knee.
didn't. We didn't bring the major award over here for the in the background.
That is a fat.
ClevelandMoto is collecting those fuckers.
That is a fat man's leg on a skinny man. That is not a swell bow. That is a swell knee. That is pretty epic. Now, I had a birthday on Saturday.
Yep.
And my friends were all too keen to remind me of it several times throughout the weekend. I'm only happy I missed the spanking machine because 56 goes on forever.
Yeah, 56
goes on forever. And by noon, we were very deep into good tequila.
We had mounds. We literally had mounds of cupcakes. Like so many cupcakes. We like distributed cupcakes like the Cupcake Fairy.
I'm going to guess 126 cupcakes. All red, white, and blue.
The diabetes.
Diabetes. But you know what chases a cupcake really good?
Yeah.
A bottle of 1800. Thank you, Jose Cuervo. You are a friend of mine.
Oh, yeah.
John Meckelfresh led the charge.
I don't know what happened there.
We did.
I'm not kidding. Not kidding.
Famous phrase. I don't like tequila.
I hate tequila.
Oh no, he loved it then.
But apparently, I just hate bad tequila because
he made sweet love to that freaking bottle.
Yeah.
It was
Like it had it in his mouth.
And we gave the very last of it to somebody.
I had the first one.
Carrie,
The first one, and I was like, I'm like, fuck tequila. But hey, happy birthday, right?
Right. But hey, happy birthday. Since we're here.
But I blapped it down, sucked the lime a little bit, and it was just like, I felt warm and happy. I'm like, that wasn't bad at all. That felt good. I'm like, hey.
Becky does know how to pick drinks.
I'll have another one of those. I found
There's
a
a
tequila
reason.
that doesn't make me retch.
One of the biggest pieces of American classic literature is Tequila Mockingbird. And you don't get that kind of play from just phoning it in. John, you were plaid.
I had two, and I was like, I can't believe how
Let's
Hang
remind
on,
Nick.
hang on.
Wait, hold on. Where is it?
So here we have Nick make some break stuff. No, I'm going to throw this image up right now.
We haven't gotten back to the image yet.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Wrong image?
There is the Rally Asshole Award. The Rally Asshole Award in all of its splendor, 2.5 feet of glorious majesty that you two can win if you slide under a porch.
I feel ripped off. Mine was only just a little tiny plaque.
Well, again, Nick tries harder.
Nick tries harder.
Nick fucking owned it. And Nick owned it very quietly. He didn't make a big deal about it. And we're going to throw the picture up again. You can go through it up.
I had one tequila. I was like, well, that's nice. I had two.
Nick.
I started feeling better. I had three. I'm like, I'm lit. I had 3 shots of tequila.
John, the problem is here. Nick tried to keep up with you.
Yeah, that was a
Right.
that
And
was a problem.
so the problem is, and I think Nick hasn't realized this yet, is even Sleepy, because Sleepy retired from drinking.
Yes, he did.
Which is perfect. Like I'm
went
not
out at
giving
the
a shit
top
about
of
this.
my game.
You were at the top of the game, and you retired because you were like, I am
Because
going
he was
out,
fist fighting with 8-year-olds in Mid-Ohio.
and I got sick of fucking not having spark plugs.
Is that another?
Motherfuckers were really good at taking spark plugs.
Everybody at this table has literally at the top of their drinking game. And
Every
the problem
time I
is-
get drunk, the spark plug falls out of my bike. I don't know what's going on.
and so I think the problem is Nick tries to keep up, and it's like no, ease into it.
It is one of those things where it's like, yeah, we are literally the silverback gorillas of the scooter club drinking crowd. Yeah.
In all fairness, we only pulled the spark plug after the first 10 crashes. So that's why I really wasn't dialed in on Nick because it all happened. And, if he'd had 2 or 3, we'd have pulled the plug.
Here's the reason. 1, broad daylight. Nobody expects a Spanish Inquisition in the middle of the day.
No.
Right? Like, it was broad daylight. It was early. It was before dinner. It was before lunch.
Yeah.
It was
was early.
just afternoon.
And he just very quietly, nonchalantly went over to his bike. It went up and it lit up. And did he make it one turn?
Oh, no, we did several laps.
he made it around
And I'm
pretty well.
like, I was riding Dan's bike, I think, and I was like, oh boy, I don't know about this. I'm wearing flip flops, and
So the bikes, just so everybody knows,
and there goes Nick. Wow.
We were on the SSR 125s, and so this is Bandcamp. It is a scooter rally, but I promise you, the fastest laps cut of the weekend were on SSR 125s by far.
Last year, I think we did like 700 miles around the track.
Coleman mini bike. I'm gonna go with
Coleman
a
mini bike does not pass an SSR 125.
I don't know. Yeah,
Or to
Sean-
Buscadero.
ask
We were
Sean about
full
that.
tilt, 60 miles an hour ripping last year, so I'm sure you guys were easily like 45, 50 miles an hour.
Sleepy, you should have
we
seen
did
this.
we did 5 laps, and I got passed twice by Nick.
We're calling Dan Hostiak
He was-
Flat Track Dan because he's
Flat Track
riding my SSR.
Oh, Dan, fucking
Him and this other guy were neck and neck.
Hostic, Hostic
No,
was flying.
Oh, I'm bringing it next year.
No,
That's a challenge.
Hey,
All right.
hey, Dan. The year that I won last year when I won Rally Asshole Award, it was because Hostick was like half a lap ahead of me, and I got the red mist trying to catch him, and that's why I went out.
Nobody on a Bajaj is going to beat me.
There was a split second where Nick went by me, and I went, I'm going to try to get. And I was like, fuck. No.
And Nick was in it.
Yeah.
Because I came around and I came around and there were like EMTs in front of me, and I was like, oh, I should stop.
Our friend,
that's Nick.
Our friend Eric Iron is a great human being. I mean, a fucking great human being. And Eric's been going to band camp since band camp was fucking band camp. Nick says those are the best laps of my life.
And that is band camp.
And they will be forever.
They will be forever.
When you're my age and they getting the hip replaced, you're going to be like, I remember the day I did this.
Just remember, you've now got the old man limp at what, 23?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Eric shows up with his kid, and his kid is like his kid is the product of a band camp relationship, I think. I think his child was conceived at band camp, but his child has taken to the SSR 125 as a true weapon, and his kid is hauling for the front. He's carrying wheelies, 12 o'clock wheelies down the back straight like it's NBD, man. Like it's no big deal.
The kids are all right, man. Like the kids that showed
the kids
up
are all right.
And
know.
like Anson's kid at Mid Ohio, if they come back, she was fucking rocking it.
Man.
I noticed a couple things about the kid. One, they weren't drinking.
Yeah.
Two, they had full gear.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a $10 question from the man himself.
Swear engine.
Okay. How was the weather at band camp? So Dave Swearengin is going to invest $10 to ask a very good question. How was the weather at band camp? Well, Dave, to be clear, it was 4 weathers.
Yeah.
It was Merry weathers. It was all the weathers. It was the little baby weathers. We had
Carl Weathers.
at one moment, sideways rain that wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
We had at one moment blistering, unadulterated sunshine that would not stop. We had a beautiful case of overcastiness. Don Slicker, can't wait to see you guys at VMD. Woo woo. Don, we can't wait to see you either. The weather at band camp was, as Scotty Hyland said, it was not the perfect weather, but it was the perfect weather for band camp.
I thought it was perfect.
Oh,
it was like, oh man, it's getting hot and sweltery. Wait, here
There's
come the
the rain.
clouds. Here's a little misting rain.
Fucking
So,
amazing.
full
so
downpour
here's
with
the
sunshine.
but here's
Just
the,
enough rain to keep the dust down.
That was the point.
but here's the question though. Isn't Swear Engine like 20 minutes up the road?
Yes. Okay. Swearingen could get to band camp from where he lives on his feet.
So
He could walk to band
So,
camp.
because there was a
he's
brief
got
mention
good roads by
before
him,
before the tequila, we were like, we should ride to Swear Engine's house, and then it just kind of evaporated. Because there's a bar you also mentioned that's like right by his house,
Literally next door
So-
to his house.
I mean,
Because people were like, we're going riding, and we're gonna go bother Swear
Yeah, but
Engine,
you
and then
know-
it was
you
like, we're
knew-
gonna sit here.
I'm
and
not
drink.
leaving band camp except for to go home.
Not only
Not a
that,
bad
but
idea.
you know that if band camp lands on his birthday, you're not going to be walking on Saturday
no.
by fucking 3.
Also true.
So next year
Also
we
true.
next year we have to convince him to come out.
Not a bad move.
So-
not a bad move.
Yeah.
And
The,
we do have the full kitchen set up, so it's not like he's got to cook anything or
doesn't have to do anything at all.
And he's paid for a lot of drinks.
Yeah, doesn't have to do shit. Just fucking show up. The fact that we had such a powerful crew showing up to Mid Ohio, we had the Lambretta Club was there.
Oh, yeah.
23 plus
Showing up to
Lambrettas.
band camp.
Showing up to
Showing up to band camp,
camp.
and they did a massive group ride that did at least 3 laps.
And there was no chase.
That was cool. I really
I
liked
should have
Lamb
gotten the
Brothers.
U-Haul out and chased them around the track just to make sure they had a chase truck.
It was fine. They did great. Our Shannon, from the Speed Clams. The Speed Clams were there.
Yeah.
Speed Clams were represented,
They were.
just killing it.
Were they
the
handing out
Snakes-
stickers?
They were, and the Snake Scooter Club represented. So
Absolutely.
we got a whole new club of young people that are willing to do cool shit, including build the rally bike.
Yep.
the raffle
Okay.
bike. So
That's
they
great.
put together a shit hot raffle
I
bike.
don't see a pile of speed clam stickers.
I
That's my whole goal
know.
in
I
life.
kind of missed that.
One of my favorite.
I
I like the
things-
shit boxes.
I did love the shit boxes.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm
again,
still a little bit upset that Leslie painted her Tiffany blue.
It looks nice.
It
man.
looks nice,
It looks really
but
nice.
I really love the Tiffany blue ship box.
Yeah, this is one of those things where when you go to this rally, you do not know what you're going to get. Like, I was looking at pictures from 21 years ago of what that rally was.
Yeah.
And it was still great. We did the Mexicana and people got hurt. It was good. It was everything you wanted in a rally. What I think is funny is that every year, sort of the intensity of band camp moves around. It's a Mobius kind of deal. And what I love is that this year, there's just a lot of young people. Now we're talking about
Tanuki.
Tanuki.
Shit.
Got a drink.
Damn it. I'm going to have to drink the other thing.
Tanuki means you got to drink. So this is one of those things when you saw these guys on the SSRs and you saw Iron's Kid and you see all these really fun people out having a good time. And then when the potato game starts, musical scooters, potato, jump in, find a potato, that kind of thing. It's usually a lot of mid-30s guys going in there and it's a blood sport, right? But this year I saw a lot of sons and daughters getting in on the game. And I was like, that was really cool. And seeing sons and daughters taking their first laps on two-wheeled vehicles with power ever. And then you've got Liam. Liam's out there, and Liam's become a veteran. He had like 4 different bikes this year.
Exactly.
He like for the first, a few years there, he was just rocking that moped like it was nobody. You had a hard time keeping up with a kid on a moped, and he would do 400 laps.
Easy.
A day.
He is the first person I have ever seen rock a Pook Allstate.
Well,
with that much anger.
To clarify, the vehicle in question for the people sitting at home with the scorecards is a Sears Allstate Compact.
Yes.
A Steyr Daimler Pook Sears Allstate Compact. They have very adorable 12-inch wheels with spokes, and they're not known for their enthusiasm. I have left at least a dozen of these in Bill Murrar's driveway because people would bring them to the shop. I'd be like, well, I can fix it, but it's going to require money. And they went, I don't want to give you any money. And I would say, good. Would you like to donate to the president of the Allstate Club of America? They go, that seems like a good idea. So I would just show up in Bill Murrar's driveway and drop them in his driveway for fucking years.
Because these things were like leprosy. Nobody wanted them.
Nobody wanted them.
And to see Liam rocking that thing as hard as he did, I'm like, well, now we've chosen poorly.
I'm still in a state of shock because I never know one could go over 10 miles an hour, right? And these Allstates, and I'll go ahead and bring a picture up for the folks at home that want to see one. Let me go ahead and.
I like the name Mediocre.
I was about to say this is the greatest comment.
Name.
Checking in from the Nashville Garage Night with the Mediogres. Unique bike collection this evening. Hell yeah.
Not a mediocre collection, but a very unique collection.
Hey, send us a picture at ClevelandMoto@gmail.com. We'll take a look at it.
Absolutely.
In case people who are listening via their headphones who aren't participating in the YouTube event, when we do this event, we do it live on YouTube at 8 o'clock on Thursday night, usually. And you have the ability to chat, and it's free. Just go to our stream site on Cleveland Moto.
Yep.
And so here's a picture, if you would, of the Allstate Compact. This is an Allstate Compact, quite an early one with a 2-tone tank. Early ones had the 2-tone tank with a little bit of chrome on there for the bitches, and it is.
I don't hate that thing.
Oh, how could you fucking hate it? It's delightful.
It was never a problem of them being ugly. It was a problem that everybody was all tied into the Vespa, so we had to have the Vespa VBB, V&A, Allstates.
The problem with that bike is it's something that a German engineer drew whilst looking at a picture of a Honda, like a 160.
Well, this is a lot of the this has a lot of the Simpson Schwalbe in it. It
does a lot of the Schwalbe. Yeah, this is definitely of the German era.
Yes,
but when you see a human sitting on one, it is impossible to look small on this bike.
Is that an Earl's fork or a fork?
It is an Earl's.
It is a trailing link fork.
It is a trailing link fork. That's how it functions.
Okay.
Apparently, it's really fucking faster than I thought it was.
Oh yeah.
With Liam on it.
If he had knobbies on that thing, he could have freaking trials biked that thing.
It was amazing. One, I've never seen one go that far under its own power.
I've never seen one under its own power.
Exactly.
Are you convinced that it's the original engine in his?
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Really? Why? Because nothing has ever been built to replace it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it the original engine? Yes, it has to be. Why? Because nobody.
It's.
Do you know why? When you see when you see an AMF Roachmaster going down the road, and somebody goes, "I bet you put a kit on that." No, you didn't, because there's never been one.
It's It's like a pook twingle. You can't find any of them that work.
Yeah. Well, they work for a short while.
Yeah.
They work until they get a heat cycle
Yeah.
and they don't work anymore. This is just one of those weird vehicles that it's a mutant oddball vehicle. It is strange in so much that the Kickstarter is designed in such a way that it has floorboards, yet you can still kickstart it without taking all the skin off your legs. It's a very, it's a very elegant design for motoring about at less than 40 miles an hour. Check. However, those spokes are where rust goes to die. I've never met one in my life that wasn't just full of a rusted tube. Like, I've never met one that was like, okay, we're going to take this tire off from 1961 and we're going to put a new tire on it. Don't worry about that until you're holding the tire in your hand and you come to me and you haven't sawzalled the rims in half. Well, the good news is once you sawzall the rims in half, you can just get a whole other bike to steal the rims from.
I took the tire off and half the rim came with it.
Absolutely.
I mean,
100% of the time.
More often than not, I have seen these things listed for $50. Please come get this out of my garage.
Again, I donated a lot of them.
And for you to give something away.
No, it doesn't take much. It takes this.
It takes this.
It takes this.
There's a reason Bill had 120 some
all states hiding in the barn. Yeah, and a lot of them were from me. It's just one of those things. Like, there are points. Sorry, Dan, where I will draw the line, and one of them is like a Lambretta LD. Like, to me, a Lambretta that isn't shaft drive, I'm in. I'm there. I want to talk to you about that. But the LD is designed for a previous generation. It's very smart. It's intelligent design. It's good for what it does. But I weigh 200 pounds on a good day, and I need to be moved along at about 50. And if I can't be moved along at about 50, then I'm going to find something that will. And an LD won't do it.
And I love them.
And a compact won't do it.
I love them dearly, but you because I mentioned one to you one day. And what's the quote you said? They have the benefit of being slow, and you had a line for this.
Well, the good news is, what do I usually say something along the lines of, they're ugly, but at least they're slow. Yeah. Right. Yeah. They have the added benefit of not only are they fucking hard to look at
and being impossible to fix.
You can't fix them. Parts are unobtainable, but at least they're slow.
Yeah.
Right. This idea is there's multiple stacking reasons why. Yeah, there's other things that you can own.
Yeah.
And I would put this in a category with every Mitsubishi Silver Pigeon.
Also true.
Every Fuji Rabbit.
Also true.
Every Fuji.
Jesus, I have both of those in my garage.
Right in this moment. Right, exactly. There's a whole litany of bikes that fall into this category where people are like, oh, don't you want one? Don't you want a Cushman? No, I don't want a Cushman.
No.
You can't make me want a Cushman. Right?
I do miss the Moto Scoot. I do miss that I didn't buy the Moto Scoot with the GX Honda motor in it, though.
Okay, so now you're just pushing the point of impact further down the road, right?
The closest to like a Ridley is obviously that's okay, but I've never seen a Cushman that's made me go like, oh god, I have to have that. Yeah, ever. It just makes me think of a Fez hat.
In the entire Cushman catalog of things that were made in Nebraska, bought by farmers, as a product. Hey, we're America. We can do scooters too, right? I've never seen a single Cushman, and yes, you can chime in if you want. I've seen all of them. I've seen the overhead valve Eagle. I've seen the Super Eagle. I've been to Portland, Indiana, where they all congregate, and where the ghosts of their former owners are still gathering every 4th of July weekend for eternity.
So Pete is at the BMW rally down in Tennessee right now.
Oh yeah,
but can you imagine what a Cushman rally is like? That had to be
okay. Sean Stevens, our friend Sean Stevens, at a scooter rally in, Phil, help me with this, down south, Dave Despain and Speed Channel.
Oh no, that was Charlottesville. That was it's what Seven Hills is now, but it's not. It wasn't Seven Hills.
It was.
God, no, you're right. Because
Chain of Fools.
Chain of Fools.
So it was a Chain of Fools rally. Chain.
Yeah.
So we were down there.
There's video of this.
And somehow somebody said, hey, Speed TV, which used to be a channel for people that like to go fast.
Yeah, that was a good channel.
One of my favorite dudes, Dave Despain, shows up to go to the scooter rally.
Because you had the Mexicali Rally 200 with the freaking pinstripe.
I know where this is
sidecar.
Rally 200 with a full-on by Luis paint scheme, a very nice, nice block paint scheme done by Luis at some point in 1976. And Dave Despain shows up and happens to have his leathers hanging in the back of the truck. And we decide we're going to go on the Thunder Run like we always do. But in the pre-games for that, Alex Tassie's there with a Honda Elite scooter with 6 over front end and 6-foot-long forks with literal bandsaw and machining mill saw blades welded to every inch of this bike. And you couldn't ride it without the front wheel coming off the air because the Honda Elite 80 was at such an aggressive angle. So if you touched the bike and you tried to get on the forks to help keep the front end down, you got several fucking tetanus-based injuries. People are bleeding all over the place. I had taken the Rally 200 sidecar rig, and I had taken my MT500 military prototype motorcycle, Rotax 500. So we were cruising through this campsite like it owed us money. And we were like, okay, we're all going to bleed and die by the weekend, and then we're going to order pizza, and it's going to be great. And these rallies are the quote, older generation rallies were just fucking pay-ins to the liquor gods. There was never a dull or dry moment that happened. So the two fellas that came out to film it were Dave Despain, the main dude, and the producer guy who then ran his own channel for a long time too. Very nice, very cool guys. And I always enjoyed Dave Despain's writing because he's like Alan DeCanonay, but for the American set, right? He's the Formula One guy who's now going into different weird shit like, Lemons, 24 Hours of Lemons and stuff. So when he shows up, he's like, well, I'm going to go on a ride with you guys. And so somebody was like, dude, here's the keys to a P200. No, sorry, I lied. There's no keys to a P200. Here's a screwdriver, right? Because we all know that.
Oh, yeah.
There are no keys to a P200.
Meanwhile, Steven's like putting the ham sandwich back together.
We're literally bolting the ham sandwich back together and putting a license plate on it. So we go out on this ride that couldn't be beaten. I've got a friend of mine's ex-wife in the sidecar rig, and we're flying the car past the camera shit. It's super fun. And what he's quickly realizing is that, fuck, these scooter dudes are literally trying to get hurt on a Saturday ride out. And it becomes a challenge to see, like, who's going to leave blood on the highway. And he's like, you guys are a little bit out of control. And so as it goes on, he's talking about, like, what about these Cushman? Like, I've heard about scooter rallies before. And Sean Stevens goes into a fucking Sean Stevens rant about, hey, man, if you want to throw clothespins into a bucket while you're riding your newspaper delivery system, I guess that's a thing they do. Because I had literally gone, I wrote a magazine article called 4 Days Among the Cushmen about me going to a Cushman rally and how that was weird, And ultimately, I'm just doing wheelies the whole time and getting yelled at by everybody. And I was just there because the Cushman guys hated Vespas. Because for those guys, the Vespas clogged up the works. When they said, I'm going to come out to your house and look at a scooter, they expected to see a Cushman. Oh. But when they saw a Vespa, fuck you, I don't want a Vespa. Well, I'd go to their rallies, and Cushmans were $6,000 and $7,000, but Vespas were $600.
Right.
They hated them. And I'd go in there and clean up. So I'd go in there on the Wednesday or Thursday of the rally, and I'd score all these beautiful Vespas and Lambrettas, fill my truck up, and fuck off by Friday. I didn't even have to stay the last 3 days. But one time I stayed.
You missed the Denny's visit with the eggs over my hammy.
One time I stayed for the entire duration. And it was funny because on Saturday they do their big games and the whole deal and their awards ceremony. And wouldn't you know, as soon as the games and the awards ceremony are over, they load up their giant Winnebagos and they go home. So there's nobody there Saturday night. It's a ghost town. So if you show up at a Cushman rally on Friday, you've missed half the rally. So the way they did it was they would start the rally the morning after the 4th of July fireworks at the Portland, Indiana fairgrounds. So the entire fairgrounds, they would do the fireworks ceremony. And if the fireworks happened to happen on a Sunday night, well, then Monday morning, the Cushman rally started and it went till the following weekend. The Cushman rally could be as many as 8 days long. What? 8 days long?
Well, they're all retired.
They're all retired. They all have Winnebagos. They all have trailers that are painted to match their Cushman scooters. Yeah. And they are all just busy nearly sucking off the guy next to them. Almost.
I have an Iron Eagle.
Oh, my God. So this whole thing, I couldn't believe when I stumbled into this subculture. And I'm a guy who appreciates subcultures. And I'm rocking around on a Vespa, and everyone's just like, yeah, get that thing out of here. It makes too much noise, and it's going too fast. I got speed shamed for riding a Vespa at a Cushman rally.
But it has the Cushman badge on the front on the leg shield.
I did pick up more than one.
I know.
Cushman GS.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh
yeah.
Anywho, Cushmans are a weird thing, and they all died. So all the owners of them died and gave them to their grandkids and their kids. Cushmans at the high water mark were 10 and 12 grand a piece.
Yeah, that was crazy. I remember seeing that.
Wow.
For something made in Nebraska with a no shit agricultural motor in it and no suspension.
Yeah.
And then when all those guys died, one or two guys collected up all of them. And then when those guys died, they hit the wind at $2,000 a piece.
Yeah.
They instantly lost 80% of their value as their kids, who'd been neglected for the past 40 years, said, fuck that bike. You want it? Take it. Oh, would you like a trailer that's matching the bike with all the art inside of all the Cushman garbage?
Grandpa liked that bike more than me.
Dad liked that bike more than me. And on behalf of his grandkids, fuck him. Take that thing. Oh, while you're at it, just before it leaves, can I just go take a shit on the seat one last time?
I called him Grandpa but he was really my dad.
It was
awful.
Well, that was always the thing when I was talking to the moped kids in New Orleans was that Vespas. I was asked them, I said, "Well, why aren't you into Vespas?" And they're like, "Well, they're too expensive."
They're too expensive.
So they were buying like Tomos mopeds and shit and kitting them out. I'm like, "Fuck, you guys are rocking. Let's go." And now those are the kids that are getting the cheap Sportsters.
Yes, they are. The
because
kids.
Everybody died in the Harley sect, and now Harleys are cheap.
About twice a week, I get a phone call at the shop. Hey, man, can you get me parts for my Tomos vintage whatever? And I'm like, no, dude, I don't do that.
What is it, 1977 mopeds?
Read the t-shirt.
There's 1977mopeds.com. There's a guy in Cleveland called Chris Hoke. I respect your religion. I want no part of it. I'm gonna introduce you to the guru that you should know. And it turns out Wednesday nights at Skidmark Garage, they do moped night.
Nice.
And that Lizzie's there. She's there with the whole crew. I've been there. They have a really good moped culture going. And I love that shit.
Well, they're the kids that are carrying the next generation. I don't care who you are. The next generation are these moped kids that are coming up.
You're absolutely right. They're all going to go from their Tomos to a Sportster.
Yeah.
That is exactly what's going to happen.
And as much grief as I've given Sportster Harleys over the years, the Sportster is the ultimate cheap-ass, infinitely customizable bike.
Well, dude, think about it. Right now, you could buy a clapped-out Grom for $2,600 or a fucking Sportster. Like, it's the same price.
I can buy an 883 or a Grom. Which one do you think I'm going to buy?
Yeah. Or
the guy at work rode his 883 to work yesterday, and I'm like, that thing sounds nice. He fired it up. It's like, boop, boop, boop.
I've
ridden it a couple times.
If I'm going to own one, it's going to be like the red, white, and blue, freaking stars and stripes down the side and shit.
But still want a boat
his
tail.
is pink and black.
Star Spangled Special.
I still want the boat tail. You find a boat tail, I'm your guy. Man.
Well, it's because Popeye. Popeye wandered into a estate sale one time, and he started sending me photos of all the bikes. And he says, "Hey, is any of this stuff worth any money?" And sure enough, on the shelves behind the bike he had taken a picture of, I said, "That bike isn't worth shit." But there are 4 Sportster boat tail seats sitting on that fucking shelf. I said, you buy every single fucking one of those.
Yeah.
I said, I don't care what they cost. You buy those fucking
Sleepy,
seats.
throw this up.
Oh, you got it?
Schlabop.
Okay, guys.
It needs a fork brace.
So,
Yeah.
that motorcycle with 14,000 miles and 2 really good tires on it is easy to work on. Extremely easy to parts for. We'll be happy to take you cross country, and you can buy it, and I'm not joking, for less than a Chinese-made 125cc scooter.
Nice.
That bike, an American motorcycle that's easy to get parts for, is $2,500. Runs great. Go buy it right now.
The only thing that it took for me to appreciate Harleys is the fact that the bottom dropped out of them. They're now cheap.
Well, I mean, or let's just call it what it is, price correction.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
This is a fuel-injected Harley Davidson.
Oh, yeah,
by the
no.
way.
Yeah.
I mean,
my.
fucking fuel-injected
And the
Harley
only
Davidson.
problem I ever had with them is because they use instead of using fuses, they use
Fusible links.
not fusible link. Shoot, I'm looking at my fuse panel right now.
I don't know,
Can't think
like
of the name of it.
thermal-
Circuit breakers.
I I'm going
Sorry.
on vacation.
Wait
and
a
now,
second. Hold on. That's a problem.
No,
I
no, no,
fucking
no, no.
build that shit into bikes.
I
that
know.
I build.
I know. That was the thing is the circuit breaker was always one of those weird things because when they got wet, they would fuck up.
Yeah, but also when there's a small problem, you can go problem fixed, click, and keep driving.
And that's the thing. It took me a while to wrap my head around those because after dealing with
let's go ahead and talk about that dumb purple motorcycle.
Hold on one
first.
second.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm going to spend my whole vacation, which I'm going on next week with the family, the entire vacation going through all the last 27 or 30 or 40 episodes that Tom's been here.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull out all the shit he said about Harley Davidsons and then play the thing where he just said, I really didn't like Harley Davidsons that much.
until they got cheap.
Yeah.
So how many people here have owned a Harley? Phil
kind of.
has.
Fans,
I'm
right?
sort of-
I mean,
I'm
at least
caretaking
10.
a Harley.
Yeah, literally, he's watching one of my Harleys right now.
Hey, when I finally decide I'm going to ride one, I'm going to steal the Cafe Racer off the floor.
Sure, fair
because
enough.
it's just sitting there.
It's beautiful.
That's
It
a
is.
nice looking
So
bike.
that bike is okay. So
All right,
that $2,500 bike. Tell me again why this is a bad idea. One, it's a 1200.
Yeah.
So fuck you right away. Second, it's fuel injected. Good. Brand new front rim and tire, progressive spring suspension, Barnett performance clutch, saddlebag, windshields, custom headlights, $2,500. And that's his asking price.
There are $2,000 worth of parts that you just rambled off.
I'm going to bet you if I call him right now and said, I will be at your house in an hour in Cleveland Heights, Elric will sell me this bike for $2,200.
We should do it. Let's just switch to a live phone.
And let's buy this bike. Because this is my point is I have owned a lot of Harleys that I paid. I don't think I've ever paid more than $10,000 for a Harley Davidson. And I've owned Harley Davidsons that are kind of $20,000 Harley Davidsons. But I've always bought them for less than, 1, 2, 3, right now, 6. So right now, $6,500 in my top.
How many Harleys did you own that ended with ball? Like 8 ball? Or,
those are all
mad
victories.
ball.
Those are victories.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Harley never did that.
No,
Hey,
but
Phil,
what's the custom
They
ones?
like the word glide.
The glides.
48.
Right. They like numbers, 48, 72.
No, but how many custom bikes did you have? Like,
Harleys?
the low ball, the slide
I've
ball.
had a
or-
bunch of custom Harleys.
Okay.
Yeah, you
But
pretty
I've
much
also-
stayed away from the sucker punch sallies and all that
and
bullshit.
all that weird shit. I stayed
Yeah.
away from all
Okay.
that. I don't want anybody else's problems. But it is funny that, like, in a literal 7-second check, I found a 2007 fuel-injected Harley Davidson for $2,500 that would treat anybody well. There's nothing wrong with this bike. Now, I happen to know the model of bike, and I happen to know the back-end suspension only has about 1.5 inches of wheel travel. So this is not going to be a fun bike if you like hitting bumps. But aside from that, it is a legit bike.
Bum, 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 bum.
It is not a good bike for hitting bumps. But it's one of those things that to shit on Harley Davidsons, we have to understand that there is a category of Harley Davidson that is a grossly overpriced, grossly overpaid, grossly overdone piece of equipment. But then there's also Harley Davidsons that are FLH police bikes
I always run into a Road King.
that are pure. Right.
Never willing to pony up the money.
Road Kings are my bread and butter, and I love me some Road Kings, and I always have loved Road Kings, and I've owned a few of them. Right now in my shop, there are 2 Road Kings. There's a very pretty, shiny silver and chrome one.
Every now and again, I will be talking and I will lean over and put my hand on it and be like, no, wait. I literally will not touch this bike
And
because
then-
I'm covered in garbage.
4 bikes away from it is my Road King that I did my law enforcement training on, that I can tell you can be fed into the fucking terra firma at any speed you want to, picked up, and it will start and run, and it will be like, I forgive you. Right? It's like when you see a shark
you have
and the
both
shark has
bars.
propeller marks on it.
You have those big bars on yours, right?
I
Like
have
the cop bars. Right?
They're ground down to a knife edge.
No, but I'm saying, those things are awesome.
They
'cause
exist
They
on
save,
this planet.
Yeah.
They exist on this planet. And that's one of those things that, like, I always say, for a certain job, I went into the law enforcement training with an extreme degree of hubris, saying, I have done this training on zero electric motorcycles. I am going to listen to the propaganda as told to me by these guys wearing very tall jack boots and very questionable tattoos and bad haircuts. And I'm going to listen to them tell me about how the Harley Davidson is the greatest motorcycle in the world for law enforcement. And I'm going to know that they're wrong. And I'm going to suffer through this for 6 weeks. And I did. And I brought donuts and coffee almost every morning because everyone else in that class was 25 or younger, except the instructors. And I was a 50-year-old silverback gorilla with my own bike, with no department behind me, paying my own freight. and understanding that everybody in that room, Cleveland Browns Festival parking lot, Muni Lot Field where we were practicing, we were training, that everybody there understood I was there for definitely shits and giggles. I was there as a personal life choice. I was there because I had a thick wallet and I was willing to pay a lot of money to do something that my department, when I was a police officer, wouldn't do. It was a notch on my fucking holster that I never got being a police officer. But I got to the point where I could afford to buy my way in. And I did. And that experience for me was a great experience. It was arduous. It was difficult. It was tough to do. I basically sacrificed a really good-looking motorcycle to the motorcycle gods because everybody else's motorcycle was paid for by the department. And they would fuck it up, they'd fuck it up, they'd fuck it up, and the department would fix it. Mine gets to wear its scars. And when you look at my bike, I will point to my bike, and you've all seen me do it. I will point to things on my motorcycle that I personally fucked up. And they're beautiful. And I love them. And I love the damage on it. I love the battle damage. And I love that particular Road King. I jump on that Road King. I got the PA system. I got the whole, hey, good looking, be back to pick you up later. I've got that going on. I've got a device on my bike.
You're welcome.
Yes, exactly. John brought me not one, but 2 microphones. My bike didn't come with a microphone.
It didn't come with the PA unit.
It didn't come with a PA unit. And John magically appeared one, and we wired it in, and all of a sudden, I can make all the scary noises. That horn, the sound of safety. When I'm behind you and I hit a button that on any other motorcycle goes, hi. On this motorcycle, when I hit it, it goes, fuck. And people 3 lanes over get off the freeway. When I hit the other way, it makes a siren sound that makes people pee. And it's super duper loud the way it does it. And I love that.
The brown note.
The brown note. And it's your wallet's going to get lighter. No. And I took the red and blue lights off and I replaced them with orange lights because I'm a creepy Halloween kid. Right? But it is very funny that when I'm sitting in traffic and somebody's texting and they're not going, and I hit the button, it is hilarious how you can see a cell phone hit the roof liner of a car. And I love that motorcycle, and I don't think I'm ever going to wash it. Oh. I think I like it looking like it looks.
Patina.
I love the big, ugly cop seat that sits up 5 feet in the air, levitating off the ground. I just like everything about it. I also like that it's weird that it actually gets it's 103 cubic inches, which is like 93,000 cc's. When you crack it, it fucking goes. It weighs as much as a Honda CVCC.
Well, it's powered by the same motor.
Yeah, way more power. Yeah, way more power than an old CVCC. But it is a fun motorcycle. And it's one of those motorcycles that I honestly believe it looks better all fucked up. And to me, it looks better all fucked up than it does when it's clean.
I'd like to say that I think you look better all fucked up. Oh, or at least when I'm all fucked up.
Well, I mean, that might be the tequila talking.
That is definitely the tequila talking. I just think it's funny that Tom caught my diatribe on if it doesn't say 100% agave.
Oh yeah,
I learned something.
It's just underwear.
Well, I did. Yeah. I posted that to the podcast, the Facebook podcast or
group. Yeah.
Podcast Facebook group. Yes.
Oh yeah. Hey, and about that, so there's a thing that exists called the ClevelandMoto Facebook chat.
And it's mostly to keep us from texting Phil at all hours of the day.
Not a bad idea.
ClevelandMoto, I think it's all one word. It's kind of hard to find sometimes. No, I'm just saying, if you search for it, it has to be ClevelandMoto, all one word.
It is called the ClevelandMoto, which is all one word. And if you put a space between Cleveland and Moto,
it messes up.
You're wrong. When I did my LLC and I did my incorporated, we did Cleveland, no space, Moto. And I have Cleveland Space Moto as a DBA for the slow learners. So ClevelandMoto podcast chat. So ClevelandMoto, all one word, podcast chat. And in case anyone's concerned, ClevelandMoto is all one word. We had to make it that way because there is another Cleveland Motorsports something in Ohio that will step on us every single time.
And it was going to be Sleepy Cinch's Raccoon Talk, but we couldn't quite sell it.
Yeah, I did also find a $2,900 Sportster on the same page. I found a $2,800 Sportster. That was the best deal, actually. The purple one is definitely the best deal.
We will eventually probably roll this into a Discord for those of you young children that don't use Facebook, but we're not there yet.
I'm on so
we're
many
still
Discords.
Old.
So to your point about, having your thing done twice.
Yeah.
When I was sued by Harley Davidson, I found out that they have over 153 versions of the logo.
The logo that they have
every possible thing that you could possibly do to it. They've already done it.
Even
and
the one with the two
that
dongs
version.
that are hanging out like wings.
Yeah, I'm
They're like
sure.
two giant penises.
I guarantee you that they probably have that. They have. I was told during that whole process that they have an entire building of 4 floors of lawyers and people of that nature that just go after copyright.
Oh crap! Now I'm envisioning 2 giant bad dragons on either side. This is hardly rideable down the middle.
Going to have to reintroduce Renee's shirt that she got in trouble for.
Oh God!
That has the Harley Davidson bar and shield on the back, and I'm sorry, in the middle of it where it should normally say Harley Davidson on the bar, it says compensating, which now is very funny because there is an actual item on the Harley Davidson motorcycle that is called the compensator. So Harley Davidsons do have.
Oh, isn't it the rider?
Nope.
Oh, the rider is not considered a compensator.
Inside a 2006 to 2017 Dyna, there is in fact a compensator built into the motorcycle. Yes, the Harley Davidson compensator has a part number. Yeah.
So what does it do? Rev the motor for you?
You hit the button and it puts a sock in your pants.
There's a snake in my boots.
What it is it is a bevel drive that essentially acts a lot like a slipper clutch on other motorcycles, but it's a three prongs on the outside of the final drive that basically allows it to go over, and so you don't have a fixed gear, so you don't explode your primary drive chains. So if you do downshift into a much lower gear than you're supposed to,
Gotcha.
it will not explode your primary drive chains because the transmission and the motor in a Harley Davidson are connected by a chain, and those chains that connect usually 2 chains. Those chains will, if you downshift too violently, will cause your transmission and your motor to turn that chain into powder or shrapnel. And this compensator allows it to overspin. So there's a compensator and a big fucking spring.
So it's basically a slipper clutch
It
for
is
Harleys?
a slipper clutch for a Harley, yeah. It's for lack of a better term.
It has a duplex chain.
It is the stock compensator, but then they make billet and aftermarket compensators. But the point is that Renee's shirt that said Harley Davidson compensating.
Oh, if it has the part number on it, that'll be
It has a
funnier.
part number, 11,
No.
11652.
If Renee's shirt actually has the part number on it, that'll make it even
Not
funnier.
a bad idea, because then it would be hard for them to go after something that they have identified as a Harley Davidson part number. Motosmith Garage Company says Eco Sportsters are the worst bike
Evo.
ever made. Nobody buy them. Okay, so Motosmith Garage. What he's trying to say is Evo Sportster.
He did.
So
He
Evo Sportster is right.
He did correct.
Yeah, I disagree. I have seen a great number of people leave my shop on Evo Sportsters that are super happy.
My understanding about the problems with the Evo is that was when Harley tried to introduce synthetic oils. And then when they did, it started eating the older seals because they're not the, I can't remember the name of it now.
Viton?
Viton. They're not Viton seals. And so they started, which is the whole joke about Harleys marking their territory.
I think those eyes mean that he's being facetious with that.
It could
comment.
be.
He could be.
He could be.
Or he could be.
Or does he want to suck them all up?
That's
for cheap?
true.
Or
That's true.
Right. That's because the Evos were 86. So the Evos started in 86 and they go all the way up to
all the way to the
2022.
Twin Cam 88. Yeah.
No,
they
Twin Cam 88s are not Sportsters.
Oh,
Sportsters are 1200s. Twin Cam 88s are like 1600 cc's.
Okay.
A Sportster will only ever be a 1200 or an 883, and then now they've done
This
some
is that
retro
weird
shit.
area where
Phil is right. Imagine that.
This is that weird area that I worked for Big Dog, and I was like, fuck it, I don't give a shit. It's all billet.
So there are plenty of Evo big twins.
Okay.
So they're printing from 80 cubic inches up till
117.
Yeah, 108.
It's insane.
Factory,
I didn't
yeah,
realize that that's like 1,895 cc's or
think it's over
1,900 or
2K.
something. Or maybe
Yeah.
the 17s,
Over
yeah.
2K.
This is why
So
I always
104.
joke. This is always joke that Harleys have more CCs than my Honda Civic.
Yes, they do.
See?
Wink,
Wink,
Phil.
wink.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that Evo Sportster is one of those things that I've not met a bad one. And I've had a few that arrived in boxes, and they're incredibly simple. I honestly still...
Well, but here's the thing.
I don't like to say much. I think that the dark years of motorcycles might be 86, 87, 88, 89.
But the whole thing with Sportsters is
that's
it's
the dark years
scale.
for a lot of stuff.
But it's a sliding scale because how good the bike is also goes by what you paid for it. So
This
like
is also
if you
true.
pay $7,000 and you get a Sportster here, but if the scale goes this way and you get the same bike for $2,300, then
This is me. This is those eras where I'm like, yeah, I'd like it.
Yeah.
I wanted to own an XLCR, and then the price went through the fucking roof, and I'm
insane.
like, well, that's just dumb. I can own a Triumph.
Just build an XLCR.
Exactly.
You could get out the parts. You could get out the Drag Specialist catalog, and you can build an XLCR better than Harley did.
and they ride like
And you
you're
can
on
build it based on a 91 or later with a 5-speed, and it's going to be a great bike.
which is the blue bike you have on your floor.
well, no, that is a 5-speed.
That's actually a
that's
nicer
a 2001.
one, but it's actually also a lot nicer than the
Yeah, it's a
XLCR.
nicer one. Well, it's just different.
I want to sit on it though. I don't know if does
It's
it
terrible.
Is it?
Oh no, and the XLCRs literally ride like you're running an ironing board.
Like does that bike comes with a suggestion to a chiropractor?
Yeah.
I will. And it is one of those things that when I see somebody show up with like an 06 or 07, 7 is the EFI. So like when I see an 07 Sporty come up, I'm always like, I don't care, 883 or 1200, because the distance between 883 and 1200 is 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's one box of parts and 2 hours. And then I can make your 883 into a 1200
And the
just
best,
like that.
And the best part is because somebody bought a Screaming Eagle kit, you can get the 1200 kit for like $100.
So cheap. So cheap.
Which again, this is why I've come back around on Harley, because
cheap.
you can literally buy this stuff out of a dumpster.
Yeah. It's funny that Harley, if you're sleeping on that, again, it handles like what it is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to tell you, if you like a Honda GB500, if you like a Honda CB350, if you like, a Honda
like
Hawk
an-
GT, if you like a SV650, if you like a V-Strom, you're going to hate the Sportster.
If you
I got
like
a new
driving-
nickname.
What's
He's
that?
the politician.
That's
So,
fair.
because the cheap Harley Davidson lobby starts to talk, and now he's all like, "I love Harley."
If you like driving a 1978 Ford LTD, you will love driving a Harley.
I'm gonna take that out to 87, 88.
Okay.
Before the round body, before the Panther. Before the Panther.
The Grand McKeith.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Before the Panther. If you're pre-Panther, you're probably good. Yeah, that's what it's like. It's like an LTD pre-Panther. Yeah.
Strangely
You
enough,
don't have to. You just put the 1200 jugs on.
Can you swap a
883.
1200 into an 883? No, you don't swap. You don't swap a 1200 into an 883. You literally remove the 1200 part and replace it with the 883 part.
Yeah.
Yes, they do go back and forth. And I'm also going to tell you that as a former Harley mechanic at a shop that I have done many times, I fucked my bike up. Yes, you did. Do you have the takeoff jugs? Because I happen to notice based on your VIN that your bike is an 883 Hugger. Yes. Do you have the original jugs that Harley upsold you the 1200? I do. Could you please bring them in for me before I get this bitch off my lift? And if they bring me the original 883 jugs, usually with no miles on them, I can just put the 883s where the 1200s were. It's the same fucking KLR 650 carburetor.
Yeah.
Is it now?
And you're off to the races.
What all changed? Is it just the piston and jug, or is it the rod too?
It's the piston engine.
No, it's
Really?
all.
It's a big bore kit.
Yeah, it's a big bore
It's just a
kit.
big
That's
bore kit.
it. So you're not even going down or
the
anything.
Easiest day at
Same
work
head.
you've ever
Two
had.
clips,
Same
4
exhaust.
bolts.
Oh yeah.
Done.
It is the easiest day at work you've ever had.
Oh fuck!
Yep. And the guy will thank you because to re-1200 him or to, PM tuning him or to do, Screaming Eagle him, to do any of those things that the dealership wants to do is going to be $1,200 to $1,600. But for me to put on your 883s that you already own, that you already paid for when you bought the bike brand new, well, I'm already halfway through the job because I got it apart. So now I'm going to button this cocksucker up anyway. I might as well button it up with the original 883 hardware, which I can do. And I can do that, and you'll still have a bike that goes 95 miles an hour.
And now it's on Marketplace for $1,900.
Yes, absolutely. Every single time.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's still riding. Still having a good time.
Yeah, no, it's the easiest thing in the world.
That Sportster that you had, that was was it 100th anniversary or whatever? The blue one that James loved.
That blue one was so
that was
nice.
such a screaming deal. I was like, man, that's really.
Oh, the guy who got.
I don't want one I wanted just a stock plain.
The guy who got that bike was the right guy.
Well, is that the one I got back up and running? That was no,
there was nothing wrong with this one.
No,
because this one was 3,000 miles and just.
Well, no, because there was that silver 1200.
The silver 1200 was a custom. So the silver 1200 was the XLCH, and that was a 1200 hugger. Well, they used to call them huggers. So it was a 1200 custom. And that was for a short gentleman who owned it. And I got to say, you talk about a clean bike.
That was the happiest. That was literally the happiest bike I'd ever gotten running. Because it was as soon as I put a battery in, it was like, oh, cool, we're going again. Let's go.
That bike showed up with 6,000 miles on it and a dead battery.
Yeah.
And it sat in my showroom until I found a buyer for it. And then had Tom put a battery in it.
Yeah.
The second Tom put a battery in it, and went, yep, okay, let's party.
Yeah. It was like
needed nothing.
I have never seen another in my history. I've never seen a bike that was so happy.
12 pounds of air in the tire and one battery.
Yeah.
And it got 12 pounds of air in the tires.
But it was
one
fuel
battery.
injected, right?
Yep, it was.
So,
and it literally, as soon as Tom put the battery in it,
this guy had been rocking the rattiest Savage I think I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And he was just beating this thing back into submission. And I'm like, and Phil was like, dude, stop.
Just buy this bike. Buy this bike. And the dude rolled out, and the guy came back, and he's like, this is the greatest bike I've ever owned.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you were on a 650 Savage. You were on a bike that had seen some shit.
It was
You know
like
what, though?
that Savage sounded like it was running on one cylinder.
I did notice something though. We were at work. We were doing a job the other day at work, and I went up. There was just a really shitty dive bar with like all these bikes and stuff out.
Yeah.
Just Harleys and stuff.
Right.
But then in the corner of the lot, there was a 650 Savage that had probably 70,000 miles on it.
Yes.
With leather bags hanging off the back and dirt that hasn't been moved in 25 years. And I'm like, you can make fun of the guy, but that's probably the most hardcore motherfucker you've ever seen in your life.
He has the miles of the entire rest of the parking lot.
Right.
If you add them all up.
On a 650 Savage.
And that's always the thing, because the Savage dude had like 40, 50,000 miles on it.
His dick is black and blue. That is the thing that every time I ride a 650 Savage, LS 650,
well, it's like
whatever
a
you
hammer
want to call
to your
it,
ball,
it is
really.
literally a 650cc impact device.
Yeah.
It's like a needle gun. It is going straight up, and when you get it above 3,500 RPM, it's just like a woodpecker is stuck under your seat.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked to this day that they don't do better in the lesbian community, because you don't need a man after you get a Suzuki Savage 650.
It's the Lambretta of choppers.
It is.
Well, think about it, man. Like you're on a KLR or something out there. You got all that suspension. You're usually standing on the pegs. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
That Savage, your meat is just right
This is
on
a
the
DR650 chopper.
Yeah.
Is all it is. It is a DR650 chopper, and it gives power exactly like a DR650.
Yeah.
And I'm still convinced, and I've had so many of those fucking things come through my shop, that when they come in, we used to have this thing where I was like, I don't want it. And I used to tell people all the time, I was like, well, you know what? If you can show me where the battery is, we'll start with that. How well do you know your bike? Well, I just got it a couple of years ago to learn how to ride on. Perfect, fine application of force. Do you know where the battery is? Well, no, but it won't start, and that's why it's here. I know. So I'm going to get your owner's manual out. I don't have an owner's manual. Okay, we got a problem. Like, now watch. So in the middle of the bike where all the dirt goes to live, and every time you go through a puddle, and a frog or some West Nile virus gets splashed up by your tire, it goes onto your battery. So this is where your Suzuki decided your battery should be. And they kept this up through the Savages and the Intruders and all this shit.
Yeah, I had to change the battery. a YTX 14 gets stuffed up underneath, like between the swing arm. I don't know how it goes there, but there's a battery box underneath the swing arm. You can't get the battery out because it hits the ground. Like, what the fuck?
You literally cannot drop the battery out of the bike without raising the entire bike.
My favorite is the explosives.
And the
sparks.
second thing is, you can't install it without welding.
Yeah.
I had to add cables.
Yes.
I'm adding cables. I can see already. I'm adding cables here.
I love watching the guys who put it halfway in and then try to play the game of operation with a 10-millimeter wrench as they're reaching between the frame rails and the chain. And they're like, okay, I need to tighten this 10 mil. I need to tighten this positive terminal. And zap, 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 zap. I've got a collection of 10-millimeter wrenches that have welding marks on them because of Suzuki's manufacturing standards.
When I worked at North Shore Yamaha, we also did Suzuki and some other stuff.
Oh, yeah, you did.
We used to carry lead extensions.
Yes.
Like 3-inch lead extensions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it takes a special battery, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A top post battery doesn't work. It has
no.
a special side
It's a
post
side
battery.
battery. Same as the Sportster. Yeah, it was the same battery for a long time. And I think that when Suzuki built that, I think Suzuki went, well, we have a problem. And they were like, no, Sportster solved it. And it was like, no. We can't have the battery. We can't have the terminals be on the top of the battery. And somebody went, no, it's okay. Sportster solved that. And everyone went, so we're going to solve an 80s problem or a 90s problem with a 70s Sportster battery. And they're like, yeah, what could possibly go wrong? The answer is a whole lot of people learned about welding against their will.
Right.
Also, let's put the voltage rectum fryer regulator right on top of the muffler.
I thought that was genius. The one thing on your bike that is so sensitive to temperature, and you're putting it on the crossover for the exhaust.
Yeah. On my bike, it's like right on the left muffler.
Is it on the left muffler?
I actually put, when I had to take it off at one point, and I put spacers, I'm like, at least give it an air gap so it's not like...
At least cut a Coke can in half.
But I mean, if you're going to make grilled cheese, this is perfect.
Oh my God. And that's that thing. It was like Suzuki for a long time. I've loved their engineering.
Speaking of Suzuki, Tanuki.
Oh, dang it. Always when I'm out.
Well, Suzuki has
All the Ukis.
the best performance and handling and race history and everything else. They have the worst electronics management. Like, I can't think of a Suzuki motorcycle that was built for a long time that didn't end up with some kind of an electronics recall, or at least an electronics like Rick's Motorsports to the rescue, because Suzuki has been, and I've owned them all, where I would get a bike and I'm like, God, this is a really good motorcycle. I can't believe how nice this is. This power, good performance, good handling, good cornering. Like a GS 500 is a shitty, cheap bike, but it's a really good bike. And I was running one, and I drove it 45 minutes to an hour away from my house. And all the electricity leaked out, apparently, on the road. And I didn't know that all the electricity leaked out. And once the electricity leaked out, I couldn't put more electricity into it by bump starting it. I couldn't make it make electricity because the parts that make electricity were only making electricity at like 7.5 volts.
The worst electrical problem I had was with my XS. Well, not it was XS 750 voltage regulator. Start the bike up, let it run. It's making 13, 14 volts and everything. You think you're good.
You're fine.
You go for a ride, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden it dies and won't start. You have 11 volts. So I finally figured it out. The fucking thing would work after you shut it off and start it up. The first time you started up, it would sit there and charge until you blipped it over like 4,000 or 5,000 RPM.
And then it would
then it would shit.
It would shut off.
So like my MO then was like, well, just don't rev it too hard.
Don't rev it.
Or if it starts going soft, shut it off and let it idle for a while.
And it'll charge back up again.
Back up.
Oh, man. So vicious. So vicious.
How would you even make a circuit that would do that?
Well, again, that's that point. It's like if I said your mission this weekend is to design a circuit that will act like most Suzuki stators or Suzuki voltage regulators, you couldn't do it because you couldn't program in the odd fail point that they built in from the factory. And it's super creepy. Yeah, it's something.
Also,
okay.
I hate dual petcocks. Fuck you, dual petcocks.
It depends on, okay. I'm 50-50 on those. If it's 2 petcocks and 2 carburetors, I can kind of understand that. Yeah, but I mean, I get it from a sheer simplicity standpoint.
So we got a question that just made me think of something that we should do.
What about 2 petcocks and 3 carburetors?
Getting weird now.
Yeah, that's getting weird.
That's an XS 750.
That is an XS.
But so we had a question come in about sidecars, but it just hit me. We've had many discussions and whole podcasts about sidecars.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a key, a map key of all the episodes, So that Tom can sit back there, and then when somebody has a question like this, we could say, refer to episode 391, which we've done 4 hours on.
Per my previous email.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Because this guy's asking, what are your thoughts on sidecars, any recommendations, etc. And I'm like, I know we've done a full podcast on that.
I have a recommendation on sidecars.
Yeah.
Learn what you're fucking doing.
Yeah.
Set this shit up according to the book, and you'll probably have a decent time. If you're doing it for your dogs or your kids, don't go out there with your dog or kid in it until you've done it with a 200-pound bag of sand in it, because learning with your dog or your kid in it usually equals traumatic head injury for your dog or your kid. And sidecars are not fucking obvious. Sidecars are
sneaky.
They're weird, and they're not just a motorcycle with a little extra wheel on the side.
Well, and I know you've said, like, you know, a decently set up one is awful to ride, but a bad set up one is deadly to ride.
Correct.
Or something like that.
A really good setup sidecar is hard to ride. A really bad setup sidecar can't get out of the fucking parking lot. As we found out at AMA Vintage Days, trying to put a sidecar on the side of Liza's Benelli TNT 135.
Yeah.
We had some of the best.
That was awful.
that was some of the best engineering minds that have. I mean, I've put together a lot of fucking sidecars.
I was going to say, I've seen you rip the fuck out of a sidecar.
I have no problem.
Yeah.
Right. But what we had going on there, the math doesn't math. And when the math doesn't math, you saw me sit down and watch all you fuckers. And I was like, you could do whatever you want. You could threaten it with a whole box of wrenches. I provided all the tools. You can spend all your time trying to unfuck that thing, but you're never going to unfuck that pig because it was designed bad from the get-go.
Right.
And even the company that built it had the courtesy of going out of business because they knew it was fucked.
Dude, right? I'm totally going to threaten all my projects in the garage with a bag of wrenches. Like, you better fix yourself, motherfucker.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I'm gonna try that
I
shit.
will come at you hard with it. Yeah. It is one of those things that...
Thank you.
Right, yes. There's a bunch. So there is a particularly good book. Now, I'm going to give this one... This is a free one. This is a free one for you guys. This book has been around for 1,000 years. This is truly generational knowledge. You can throw this up if you'd like. So there's a guy named David L. Huff, or David L. Huff, depending on how you like to pronounce things. I go by Huff. I think he'd appreciate it better. I've met the man. So this is Driving a Sidecar Outfit, a manual on learning to drive a motorcycle sidecar combination. Now, the price you're paying for the book is $40. What's in it is priceless. This is literally spiral bound. And here's my rule of thumb. If you have a technical manual or you have a book and you hand it to me and it's spiral bound, you have my attention, right? Complete Idiot's Guide to Volkswagens, that kind of stuff. That really started it all, right? The Driving a Sidecar Outfit, the second edition, I don't know what the first edition's all about. But here's what I can tell you. This is produced by the USCA Sidecar Safety Program. It is available at the TexasSidecars.com website. I'm going to tell you, send them your fucking money because there's very few things in the world like Texas Sidecar Company when it comes to legitimately having decent, good shit.
Like your favorite crop top.
And that's why I wanted to go to their website because when you go to their website, they have gone dark. They've gotten weird, man. I don't know what's going on over there in Texas. But here's what I do know is that they have done for a long time Driving a Sidecar Outfit. I used to have 20 copies of this in my shop, and anytime somebody would buy a Stella sidecar rig or Bajaj sidecar rig, I would take a copy of this book and I would fucking hand it to them for free. That's gratis in legal terms. And the reason I did that was you've been fucking warned. I took all your money. This is going to teach you what you're doing wrong. And you are going to have zero fucking chance of getting your money back. Tom's back there blowing a fucking sausage. Oh my God.
No, that was me, Christ. I think.
Oh, really?
No, I'm so sorry. That was me.
Seriously. I thought somebody was trying to eat their way out of a whale.
Now, Sean. Hey, Mac, how did that go this weekend?
Forgive me.
What is happening? What is going on?
Okay.
I'm nervous.
I proved my point. So apparently, I went to bed on Saturday night at 3 something. Once another
Is
human.
this tequila night?
Was that you, Sean?
Somebody came over to our tent. Somebody came over to our living room, and somebody came over and said, "Hey guys, you guys need to be quiet. Some of us are trying to sleep." And short of showing up with a Nazi flag at a scooter rally, the one thing that one does not do ever
Is turn the party down.
is complain that somebody else is too loud.
Yeah, no. Oh my God, that's beyond a faux pas. That's terrible.
And it's just an admission of your own suckitude.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing says I suck harder than, could you guys please be quiet? I'm trying to get my sleep.
Yeah.
Fuck you, pal. You are literally, you went from battling with punk rockers to CPAP machines.
The DJ is literally still playing 60s blaxploitation fucking music.
Yeah.
You need to fucking own it.
You gotta step up. And so he came over and said, could you please be more quiet? And I was one of the last 3 people standing at that particular moment.
Yeah.
And so I basically said, now I need to stay awake and make noise just to spite this cocksucker. But at the same token, I was going to go to bed anyway, but now I'm going to stay up to spite him? Fuck that. So I was like, I'm going to make some really loud noises and then I'm going to go to sleep. So whatever, I went to sleep in a giant aluminum box they call a U-Haul. So I heard nothing. But apparently after I went to bed,
Yes.
what happened?
Sean, are you sure this wasn't you?
Oh, it wasn't me. Did you hear anything?
What? In the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard it.
Okay.
I thought it was an audio track that somebody was playing. I thought it was a spoof track, and I'm like, oh, that's so funny.
Well,
No, I know pretty much what happened.
Because you guys,
I heard it.
You guys started making the noises, and I'm like, is this like Dory from Finding Nemo singing songs? Like, what are you all talking about? Like, no, it was like, ooh.
It was the sounds I was just making while eating that hot dog.
Yeah.
Which is how we coming back around to the hot dog eating.
I think you said you were one of the.
I did hand you a wiener.
You said you were one of the last 3 people standing. I think 2 of those people ended up in a tent.
We're horizontal.
Hey, Sleepy, throw it up.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell happened.
Yes.
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea
know,
what's going on
Now,
there.
granted,
If you can get a soundtrack to that, that's what I was hearing.
That's what I thought it was.
There's a robot chicken episode that explains the whole thing.
Now, granted, I have known the 2 people that outlasted you. We both known them for like 30 years.
I'm not even going to give that much information because one, what happens?
There was
at
2
band camp-
humans though, right?
Stays at band camp.
All right. No, apparently there were 2 fucking harp seals or 2 walruses or 2.
I'm not trying to be mean. That's just what it sounded like. That's just what it sounded like.
2 wildebeests.
Because the first thing they said was, well, was that you and Becky? And I went, no.
Well, I just want to exclude a couple people before I start saying things.
I'm going to start ruling people out before I start ruling people
like,
in.
I'm starting to
that
be
was-
like, I'm glad I didn't go there.
There's only one bus, but I'll throw some motherfuckers under it.
I wanted to make sure it wasn't those guys or you, Sean.
And yeah, we wanted to make sure it was not one Sean.
That was, there's only one of me. There was.
Who knows if it wasn't some sort of really exotic self-love
like
session?
one of you have
Look.
not had a good love session by yourself.
if there's two gay guys at a scooter rally, they're going to be fucking. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, me and Bully hung out all weekend. If we were going to make some noise, we'd make.
You're gonna be wall to wall and treetop tall inside your
I
fucking
know.
pop tent. That's fine if you need to. If that's what you need to get you home, is to put yourself in a hammerlock and
are
go
you
at
saying
it.
that people were going at it so hard
It
that
was Nick.
it woke the whole
It was
place
Nick.
up?
Oh,
It was
no.
Nick's knee.
All I know is I heard nothing, but the guy who complained about the sound heard everything.
Yes.
And to me, that makes me feel justification for going to bed early.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that I camped, the fact that I, was like, I'm out. So I peace out at like 3:30 or whatever. So if that noise, I didn't hear it because I was in an aluminum insulated box. I heard nothing. I had a fan going right by my head.
I heard
My life
nothing.
was good. I know nothing.
I know nothing. I
It
heard
started
nothing.
with a. And then it crescended with a.
I
I was like, oh my God, what the fuck?
You know what? Okay. That whole thing about like fucking in a tent is like what, 3 mils of nylon between you and your best friends?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You might as well be outdoor.
This is
Right.
why you bring the gag.
You might as well be behind clear painter visqueen, right? you might as well be on display because the only thing you're leaving out is the horrific visuals to go along with the exotic audio.
I was going to say, we're getting to the age now where the crowd, there's not a lot of people that you're like, yeah, I'd like to see
There
that.
is nobody I want to see.
I was just astounded because it was 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, I could not be fucking right now. I'm like, just fucking. Let's do this in the morning.
Yes, one. Any potential, like, I'm going to drive this shit home. You know what? I've been waiting all day for this. I'm going to slide across home plate right now. It is worth it.
I get it.
You know what?
I fucked enough times.
Give me a couple
I don't
shots
need to
of
fuck that hard.
couple shots of espresso in the morning. Let's go.
Yeah.
But in the evening, I'm like,
idea
nah.
would be like, okay, we can either do this poorly now or get 4 hours of sleep and do it pretty good.
Correct.
Welcome to Sex Talk.
And there'll be
with
noise.
ClevelandMoto.
There'll be noise in the morning. There'll be people doing other things.
Jesus Christ, I would be inclined to run out and start my own bike. Start my own bike. Pull the fucking choke on my own bike. Get the idle up to full chat, and then go make weird noises.
Yeah.
Because then you have the cover, right? But at that place,
You can't hear the whips at that point.
At
Hey, I'm
band
gonna
camp-
run the generator
Jenny
for an hour or
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's
Come
it.
on,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Pour a cup of diesel.
I mean,
in
that's
it.
what Tom and Becky were doing.
Right. Well, that's why I had the generator going, running the charging the batteries for the fans.
Time to charge the batteries again.
That's it. Gotta charge batteries. Gotta run this here. Gotta run this Otis Day in the Time soundtrack
Right.
too while we're doing it.
Yeah.
Or there is just the suggestion.
Well, there will be a Mid-Ohio at this point. Yeah. Fuck that. Right.
Well, yeah.
Was there a shadow?
Also, there is
above
just
that
the
shadow?
option of not making that. You can do it quietly.
Yeah, that's
I
what the
promise
guy-
it's a thing.
That's what the gags are for.
Yeah. Yes. Something. Stuff something in
I
there.
think exerting
Sean knows 'cause he's-
exerting yourself at 4:00 in the morning precluded any quietness. It was
It
like
depends on your cardio.
But this comes from Sean.
At some point, you're going to start
You were
huffing.
slaying when we were in Las Vegas. You were getting back at 5 a.m. all
Well, no, I was-
refreshed.
Yeah,
no,
but you
that
didn't
was,
do it in your room.
No,
No,
that's
no,
true.
no,
That's true.
In the
Boy, it
bunk
was the
above you.
freaking hostel that you all stayed in.
I lived for a while. I lived in an 8-man room in the Army, and they used to lower girlfriends in and out of the windows because the windows were kind of at like an 8-foot level. So you'd reach down, you grab her arms, and you slide her up and through the windows, get her past CQ. And so, like, kind of the deal was, we're an 8-man room, we had like 4 bunk beds. So, big room, 4 bunk beds. And when somebody's girlfriend would be hanging out, you'd be like, okay, you come off the shift, whatever, it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you go, chow hall, back to chow hall. And you'd be like, oh, look, fucking, and there's Steve's girlfriend's here. Okay, well, this is going to be weird, right? And so
Does she have to bark like a dog every time?
No, but it's a tough thing when you're 8 guys in a relatively small room, right?
It's not always a tough thing.
And
right?
you have that young aggression too. That that becomes a thing where it's like, I'll die tomorrow if I don't have this happen to me.
Right. That's
Right.
exactly
Hey,
it.
you know what? We don't
When
kink
you're 18 years old, you're like, wait, I'm going to wait for them to start crescendoing so I can meet them.
Wait, I was gonna say we don't kink shame here. You want to get off in a room full of 8 guys? That's fine.
Right.
that girl is awful
Exactly.
brave to walk into to start fucking with 7 other guys waiting, just like, oh man, this could get
This
good.
was,
this
this
could
is
get good.
Really, really bad or really
This
good?
was a sometimes there'd be 3 guys in that room with 3 girls in their own little respective
yeah,
territories.
there you go.
Look, I'm telling you, the Army was not fair, equitable, or conscientious. It just was what it was. And you're just like, you're 18. That's what you do. Yeah, that was it. Because not everyone could afford $100 for the room at the hotel, right? So if you were a high roller and you could do that,
What?
yay.
Man, bear, pig? What is this?
That sounded like consensual prison.
They were
compared
always
to,
called, Tom, to answer your question, every American Army hotel
I was trying to figure out what you had on.
everywhere was called the American Arms.
Ah,
So the American Arms was the local hotel in the various different cities you'd be in. So if you couldn't afford the scratch for an actual German hotel room, you could usually swing, because you had your ID card and everything else, they cut you a special deal on a room for the American Arms. And so if it was a really rowdy party in Wiesbaden and we're like, oh, we're not going to get on the streetcar, we're not going to get back on the bus, we're not going to get in a taxi cab and make it back. But we've got $60 between us. Well, that means we're staying at the American Arms tonight.
and here stateside is called America's Best Value.
America's Best Value in. Kind of the same thing, yeah.
Hey, the towels might be clean.
Yeah, it's designed to sleep too, but it'll do 6 in a pinch.
6 in a pinch.
Yeah, not too terrible. Weirdly, I did want to throw this up because this is an actual show note story. QJ Motors has entered World Supersport. So not World Superbike.
Well, I
World Supersport's smaller.
Okay, I thought Bajaj owned KTM now, which is World Superbike. So now who do they get?
We're not talking about that.
Oh, I'm
We're
saying
talking
QJ.
about the Chinese.
Yeah, QJ.
Benelli guys.
QJ.
The Benelli guys. So they did show up. Apparently they have 2 bikes and 2 legit racers who showed up. And usually in the history of motorcycle racing,
Tanuki.
Wait, he just saw Tanuki beer at the local international grocery store. Fat guy in a little bike.
We need
to
find the Tanuki beer.
We'll find it. We will find that. So when somebody, I mean, I've been there when a lot of odd off-brand motorcycles have decided to go World Superbike racing or, Supersport racing. Usually what happens is DNF. And they're always like, we're going racing. And they spend a shit ton of money and they fail. But at least they can say they went racing.
Well, they can put the racing on the tag.
Oh, yes, they do.
Like Toyota, TRD.
A
lot of that stuff. They're not, well, I mean, they do race, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. Pikes Peak. Yeah. So, but here's the weird thing. Okay, when you come in 15th place out of a field of 30 and you're, let me show you here. You're 29 seconds off the leader, but you're in there with all the Ducati Panigale V2s.
Yeah.
That's not too shabby.
So, all right. So what?
Go ahead and throw it up.
Yeah, because I'm interested to see what bike they're brought in.
So they're running an 800cc.
Okay.
So they're running an 800cc bike. And if you look at the standings for this race, your leader is on a V2, Panigale V2.
Yeah.
And that's in there because of the V2 rule. So because it's in there with the 900s, even though it has a lot more CCs. The hero might be the guy in the CBR 600RR because he's punching above his weight against all those 800s. Triumph Speed Triple 765s. So this is a pretty good field. And when you look at this field, you're like, that's not too shabby. The fucking hilarious thing is slipping in there at number 15 is DeRosa on a QJ Motors SRK 800RR. That's SRK 800RR. We're going to get to the actual bike in a second. Now, there's 2 people on their team, and that would be Thule. Thule did not make it. He did 14 laps, and I'm going to guess he either decided to get off the bike or he decided to stop riding the bike, or the bike decided to stop him riding it. One of the 2. So, but this is kind of interesting. Not because we're selling QJ bikes. That's not why we're bringing it up, because we're only lightly selling QJ bikes. The reason I wanted to bring it up is it's the first time we've seen a Chinese bike actually step up into competition and do okay. Usually they super suck.
What bike got a 10th place there?
Yeah, number 10 got the Kawasaki ZX6R 636, punching well the fuck above its weight.
That's
right. So JL Koba on number 52 is literally coming in 10th place, 17 seconds behind the leader, in a field peppered with Panigales. And believe me, if you're in the motorcycles, into sport bikes, you are sick of hearing Panigale.
Oh my God. The YouTube dudes have to chill with the Panigale.
They got to chill with the fucking Panigales.
It is everywhere.
They got to chill.
And especially the bike talk crossovers. The kids that are like, what my Panigale V4 sounds like, what my Panigale V4 monthly payment is, what my like, holy fuck, if I hear that word one more time out of one of these guys. Bad. It's seriously, just call it the fucking Ducati V4 or something, but leave
whatever.
Yeah.
But my point is, at least 15 guys got their Panigale spanked by a Chinese SRK 800RR.
But the reality is,
let's talk about that bike. I want to see that bike.
I want to see the bike.
I need that bike. Let's get into that.
But the thing is, the rider could be so good. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. I've seen guys at tracks, like a guy will prove a point by taking a 400cc bike out, all these guys with the 1000cc bikes, and smokes the fuck out of them.
Now this is I'm looking it up right now. This is the real deal. Like, it is. I mean, Marzocchi and Brembo, the Chinese Brembo brakes we've been talking about and everything else.
What's the motor layout though? That's what I'm
inline 4.
Inline 4 800. Yeah. Like, it and it looks like an R6. Like, it literally
Sleepy,
looks.
you can pull it up.
Yeah.
So, so this is what it is. This is a legitimate. Right. This is the business. It's the business. It is what it is. It is there, and it is This is something that a Chinese company has decided to do, and they are putting some money into it, and they are also putting some technology into it. The fact that I've lived long enough to see several off-brand companies attempt to get that credibility of racing in World Superbike or in racing in Supersport, and I've seen them show up, spend a shit ton of money, crash, fail, technicals, motor failures, etc. They don't do well. They just fucking don't do well.
Everybody forgets the first Hondas when they went racing sucked total ass.
They were no fun.
And that's the thing is when Chinese companies are showing up with their first bikes.
Never say those words again.
The first Hondas sucked ass. I'll say it over and over.
Motherfucker.
Well,
but they did.
It wasn't very long.
They were all based off the NSU Max. So
it wasn't very long until they were beating 500s with 250s.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's where we're at because QJ is building everybody's bikes.
Thanks for talking me down.
But they have a real program that they're doing it, and they're doing it as a real program. And I'm definitely not of the camp where I'm like, yeah, China's great. Seriously, if you listen to this podcast right now, grab your fucking thumb powered device, type in "smarter every day," and type in the grill brush, the grill scraper. That guy who does Smarter Every Day talks about how he desperately tried to build a fucking barbecue grill brush in the United States. And give him 30 minutes of your time and listen to what he's going through, trying to build a no moving parts fucking thing in the USA and bring it to market. And when you watch that, you're going to realize that if you say, oh, well, I'm not sure I want to go with the Chinese bike because I'm not sure about the quality. Stop. There has not been a tool and die or mold maker in the fucking United States for the past 20 frickin' years. Everything's happening in China. So it is not, the Chinese quality is finally getting up to the American standard. No, the American standard has been abandoned and all of it went to China and the crossover has happened.
Hey, Sleepy, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Who built the motor for your BMW?
Oh, I'm sure somebody in China.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Isn't that not a Linhai motor in your BMW?
I'm almost certain of it.
Yeah, probably.
I almost guarantee it.
Therefore, they are up to German standards.
Right. Yeah. They've kind of gone past Harley Davidson.
Because you have passed the shit out of American standards when you're building German. We
talked about this before, though. Like, isn't it more like it's company? It's more, but it's not that China can be just considered one thing anymore.
The quality control
you get what
at
you
the
pay
end
for.
of the exactly.
Yeah. It's all about you get what you pay for.
Like you can get the $2 set of grips or the $30 set of grips, all from China, and there's a huge difference between the two sets that you get.
So the fact that a company like QJ, who builds motors for everybody and builds bikes for everybody, finally looked at this and went, you know what? We can fuck everybody right now and just build our own shit.
Well, the Panigale bros are going to have to start being aware, and the reason I'm bringing this up is when the Chinese enter World Superbike, when the Chinese enter Supersport, when that happens, everybody better take a quick look to the left and look to your right and think, okay, how do we need to elevate our game? Because there's only 14 people that crossed the fucking checkered flag before he did. 14. So he was right in the middle of the pack. And there's a lot of really reputable names of equipment and riders that came in after him.
But this is what you're going to tell when they've actually made it. So out of all those riders, though, you still have your top 10 that are like, those are that top. Those guys kind of define what the top riders are.
Of course.
So when one of them dudes decides to ride for QJ, then that shit is legit.
And that's usually
and because.
These two guys are legit. These two riders are.
I'm not saying they're not. I'm not believe me. I'm not taking anything away from any dude that's riding in that series or any series. Right. Like that's an amazing motorcycle rider. But out of those guys, there's still the cream of the crop.
Absolutely,
that's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And that's what happens when you get somebody who's a Valentino Rossi or somebody, and you get them 2 years before their prime, and you put them on your steed of whatever it might be, and you remember that when the LC8s came out. And all that stuff hit, or the RC8s came out, initially it was like KTM and World Superbike. That was weird.
Yeah. 2 words, because Sleepy brought it up. 2 words that is going to give QJ legitimacy. Gave Honda legitimacy. Who moved from MV Agusta to Honda? And gave
Agostini.
them
Giacomo Agostini.
Halewood
Too. Oh yeah, that's right. God, that was later. That was 5 years later. Yeah.
Agostini and Halewood are the ones that went from MV Agusta to Honda, and suddenly Honda became a comparable racing bike.
They did.
So if you get a name on a QJ, you're done. You win.
DeRosa's been racing since 2009 or 2004 when he won the 125cc class. So, he's Italian. He's from Napoli. So that's one of those things that, like, he's got a great racing pedigree. But the point is,
I'm making John uncomfortable.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, with racing, it's all about money.
It is.
And
absolutely.
so at the point at which they were willing to spend the money to get the rider, they probably also spent a lot more money on the bike.
And QJ's got deep pockets.
Sure they do. Yeah. And I think that's one of those things about putting your name out there. When you get to the point where somebody's going to go, they ran into this problem in America. Hey, you want to buy a Benelli? Fuck yeah, man. Shotguns.
Yeah, right.
United States Marine Corps, United States Army. I carried a Benelli shotgun when I went to Iraq. When I went to Afghanistan, I carried a Benelli shotgun. Fuck yeah, Benelli. And I told the guys from QJ, I was like, don't do it. Don't take the Benelli name away. Well, but Benelli is owned by QJ, and we want to shine some beautiful light on QJ. And I was like, yeah, but you've got Americans saying Benelli.
I know.
You're winning. Shut the fuck up. You're winning. Lean everything into Benelli, and for the United States market, put on your Benelli baseball cap, and you'll do great. No, we don't want Benelli to get all the cred. We bought Benelli. We want QJ to get the cred. We own Benelli. And I'm like, but that pride, that arrogance, demanding people to kneel at the church of QJ ain't gonna fucking work, because QJ Motor, no S, QJ Motor, QJ MOTOR, all one word, push them together. That does not smack awesomeness in the mind of an American motorcycle rider. At least with Benelli, you got a vowel at the end of it. You got red, white, and green signage. You got you got a history that goes back to 1911.
And you remember, like, when like those bikes first started coming out and stuff. There were the excuses.
Yes.
Like, dude, isn't that made in China? Well, I mean, like, it's an Italian company. Right. But, like, they sourced it. Like, it's like there are all these excuses that you can make. That's
with a Chinese company, there's always an excuse.
But now there's not when it's QJ. At that point, the guy's just like, I bought it, Chinese.
And that's the whole, I think. Yeah. So what they're hoping for is they're hoping that the racing pedigree, that going out and doing it and being there, because nobody would have thought KTM World Superbike. Nobody would have thought KTM Supersport Racing. Nobody would have thought KTM anything other than a goddamn dirt bike. Nobody would have thought that. And they went out and they put a ton of money in it, and they got racing, and now people associate KTM with big fucking giant CC sport bikes and giant CC adventure bikes.
And now Bajaj is going to benefit from it.
And now Bajaj is going to be really happy that they did that.
Exactly.
Yep.
Which, in my head, because CF Moto has been pushing real hard for the American market. Yeah. I mean, we've seen a lot of them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think you've come at QJ and CF Moto have the same problem of no name recognition. Yeah. And I think when they finally buy, or one of the
CF
companies
Moto made a run at some of the racing organizations a few years ago, and it didn't end well for them.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's really interesting that QJ is actually in there on the podium.
And they may have to hide behind a name brand that they already own or are affiliated with in order to make it.
Well, you know what I thought was interesting? Do you remember at Mid-Ohio when we were talking to the cop, and then she was telling us how that, Mid-Ohio and stuff got that deal?
Oh, yeah, that
CF Moto.
The four-wheeler was,
But then the thing was falling apart. And so, like, everything she was saying was kind of making fun of it.
Yeah.
You would think that the company would be like, hey, like, we need to give these people the good shit or something. Like, that was pretty weird.
Well, the problem with CF Moto is we see Phil and I have been around long enough to have seen the fashion and the e-charm.
We are judging modern CF Moto by 20-year-old standards, and that is like judging that is like judging a stalwart brand that you've come to trust by the standards when they were literally a basic startup.
Yeah.
And it's not fair. We are judging CF Moto today by bikes that had axles that weren't heat treated.
But that's why you buy Benelli and use the name. So you're not judged by your fucking shitty Chinese scooters.
Absolutely.
Exactly right.
And you have rocked the hell out of that Benelli the past couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got no problem.
Don Slicker was asking about buying a TNT 135.
really?
I told him it's a great bike.
You should do that. It's fun.
And our test bed is out there with the bagger. Swear Engine is out there with the bagger.
Well, then we're talking about Motorini now.
Well, Motorini.
Different companies.
But we're talking about the same thing where the Chinese are now
bikes,
associated with. Because who's backing Morini again?
That's Zenon.
So you're talking about a major company. Like Zenon builds millions of bikes a year.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And the fact that we're talking about a company that sells thousands of bikes a year. But it's a known brand name.
Speaking of thousands of bikes a year. So today I get an email from Vespa.
Uh-oh.
And they done fucked me up.
Uh-oh.
So Vespa
again.
Oh my God, these fucking guys. So Vespa comes up with a bike and I just did not see this coming. And it's
the big titty.
The blue thing?
The Officina 8.
Officina. Yeah, that's right.
I was going to say the big titty 946.
Yeah. So like, I've kind of seen it all, but this has got rivets in the seat. This has got extremely good attention to detail. It's got Subaru WRX wheels on it with a machine lip. The color of it is blue gray.
Oh.
I don't know what the fuck the color is.
Are they selling a GTV version and
Aquamarine?
a standard version?
Yep.
They are selling, Tom, they are selling a 50, a 150, and a 310.
Yep.
So we're...
3 bikes.
I was actually going to...
that is a Primavera.
3 bikes, all one colorway. Huh. And the attention to detail...
I need a trade-in?
...is shocking.
I actually do...
Today I had a phone call from a customer who has a deposit in on a not one of these and said, I need that bike. And I said, well, this bike is currently in AI stages only. This is not real humans standing next to this bike. This is... AI
mannequins.
Well,
this is mannequins.
Because I follow an Asian. I can't remember them right now, but I follow an Asian company that does a lot of wheels like that and a lot of weird custom parts that I love. Like I need to own a modern.
Does
Vespa.
it have a tailpiece back there?
There is a bum stop. There is a passenger seat cover on the GTV. So the passenger seat there is what we would call a nacelle on the back of the seat for monoposto configuration.
It just needs a gumball number, and it's just, oh my God, it'd be over.
It's a good looking bike.
I was actually going to inquire about the gloves that they have They have a good looking set of gloves that
are from the Officina line.
Yeah.
So it's not like the snake skin.
No.
We missed Sean that day. When
I know. I caught up on it.
Do you mean the 946
The snake. I would pick that snake shit up for $20 at Nordstrom Rack.
Right.
Well, it's like the
when they have leftover snacks, I'll probably
snacks.
buy a leftover snack. But I'm not going to pay full boat for a snack. Nobody pays fucking full change for a fucking snack.
Well, it always kills me. The 946 is a 150. Like that just kills me.
And it weighs more than a 300.
Exactly.
Yeah. Long and short, if I be so bold. Here's the thing, though. It's not expensive. These bikes are not expensive. These bikes are literally $100 more than their standard version.
They learned from the Bieber.
Yeah,
it is $100.
Hey, and the new Samsung's out.
Edition.
I will say I've also noticed that they've dialed the shitty marketing back a little.
Well, I mean, they had to. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I think somebody got a little sensible.
They had to. It was fucking so bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
I mean, there's like death by androgyny, and it was just so bad. It was like, okay, so I need you to be the most non-binary.
Well, every young people fashion is just bags now. Everyone's wearing a burlap sack, and you can be whatever you want in a burlap.
This is the shitty.
We are back to the dust
This
bowl.
is the shitty one. So this is the shitty one. That's the 150, right? That's the Poors. That's for the Poors.
It's just a nice color.
I was going to say, what is going on with that motor? But it's a little bit weird.
That's probably the 50. That's usually what they do.
Well, it's the I get packaging.
It's the I get. Right, exactly. Fair enough.
I don't know how I feel about the bar end mirrors.
I hate those.
The seat looks comfy.
Yeah, the seat looks all right.
The bar and mirrors I could live or die. It doesn't matter to me. What kills me is the little peak of gold coming out from the horn casting.
Yeah.
The rivets on the seat. the gold emblems, the satin brushed gold emblems, and the fucking gold and machined edge aluminum wheels.
You know, after hearing
so
you
nice.
for the past 2 years complain about satin colored Vespas.
I do not like satin colored Vespas. They
Make
finally
the
make one I
fucking
like.
thing shiny.
Make the
Jesus
fucking thing
Christ.
shiny. I'm sick of cleaning dead bugs off my shit.
That
make
and
the
orange
fucking
ones.
thing
I don't
shiny.
like the orange ones.
Oh, you don't like the orange ones?
Worst choice.
You know, and
Worst
then
choice.
John, weren't you just telling me you hate
Like
yellow
those,
Mercedes too?
I hate those Cleveland Browns Vespas or the hunting Vespas.
And the yellow
the
banana
hunting
Mercedes
Vespas.
you were saying,
Yeah,
right?
those
You
are
hate
the
those.
yellow cars.
Yellow
drive me-
cars are the worst.
And I pull out of the go ahead and throw that up. I pull out of the parking lot today to come to the podcast, and I see this fucking douchebag in a yellow 5.0 way down by Cam's Corners and a yellow drop top 5.0. And I'm like, who the fuck? Oh, it's all right. I guess 5.0s are 5.0s. And I looked at my rearview mirror and it's like, oh, it's not a 5.0. It's one of those V6 Mustangs. It's one of the newer ones. And I was like, okay. And then I was kind of in it, and it kept gaining on me. And I was like, that fucker's got to be going at least 60 on Lorraine Road to try and catch up to me before fucking Trisket. This guy's trying to put a move on me before Trisket. And then I'm like, fuck it, I'll yield. I don't want to win this. I don't want to go into the fucking turn onto Trisket at 65 on a fucking bike I've known for 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So I pull over to the side and let him go by. And it's Sean in Der Kompressor. Der Richtung Automo. That is seriously, that bike, I'm sorry, that car it has to pay Honda Prelude loyalties because of the screaming yellow zonkers.
Oh, yeah.
It is such a yellow car, and it's beautiful, and I fucking love it.
I think it's
Thank you,
hilarious
thank
that
you.
when he turns the radio
a very
on,
nice
it
car.
only plays the Miami Vice theme.
Yes.
Jan Hammer.
Well, it's, you know,
It's the only thing it plays.
I'm gonna say something as a mechanic. Everybody that has any sense of mechanical anything looks at a 20-year-old Mercedes or a 20-year-old BMW and goes, fuck you.
No, they're not the same thing. Now, here's what I have to say.
Right.
My sister has spent the past 25 years as a Mercedes, immersed in the world of Mercedes. She recently, against her will, took a job with BMW. And they gave her ein BMW.
Welke.
Or she has a BMW.
Yeah.
And she's like, so every time she shuts the door, I love my sister dearly. She shuts the door on the BMW and she goes, God, I hate this car.
It's the worst. Yeah.
And she goes, you can hear it. When you shut the door, you can hear that it's not a Mercedes.
Right.
Yeah.
And my sister would be the person who is not a motorhead. She's just deeply fucking dyed in the fucking wool carpet of Mercedes to the point where she's like, there is a difference. And now I have a couple of Mercedes in my stable.
Yeah. Hey, the hearse is amazing.
They're longer than most.
Yeah, right.
But I got to say, 30 whole miles on that Merc since it's been in the United States. It left here as an emergency to go to band camp and did a 290-mile round trip, 300-mile round trip.
Sure did.
At velocity with the AC going and 4 of us and the entire corpse area, the entire dead people's playland in the back was just full of like 1,000 pounds of party goods.
God, you really need to put a picture of that thing up because
We did
it is
well.
fucking
It did
spectacular.
great. And that is like 23 feet of love right there.
Yeah.
And that V6 just pulled. It was no problem. It did so well for us. Then I discovered that on the console where the gear transmission is, the transmission selector, there is a W.
Oh, yeah. The second gear starter.
And there is an S.
Yeah.
And I did not know that W is for winter.
Yeah.
And that means the car starts in second gear.
Yep.
So I was driving it in W because I felt that, but I thought it was going to be like winter mode and sport mode. Oh. And it's not. It's winter mode and summer mode. So I was starting it in W. I was driving in W because I thought it was just going to be like a more peaceful, less exuberant way to drive around. And so as we're driving back, I'm like, yeah, there's a W and an S, and I have no idea what it means. So Hodge Googles it, and he's like, oh, winter mode, it starts in second gear. And I was like, well, this cocksucker is an extra 10 feet longer than it should be and an extra 2,000 pounds heavier than it should be. Maybe we ought to give it the full range of the transmission just to give it a fighting fucking chance.
Absolutely.
And then when we put it in S mode and we smashed the Dead Dinosaurs pedal, then all of a sudden it went to like, sehr gut, bis geht's jetzt.
Yes.
Well, because
Kommt sie hier schnell bitte?
Because I kept thinking it was like a normal wheelbase station wagon car.
It is not.
And it's an extra wheelbase station wagon, and then they added like 5 more feet.
It just keeps going.
It does.
It just keeps
and
going.
You know, because
the back seats are more comfortable than the front seats.
Is that the 123? Something like that. I
don't know the secret code.
Because that's
it's no, it was a C class. It's a 202 base.
Okay.
Is it?
Because it's like one of the last. Because honestly, in my head, that is one of the last Mercedes where I'm like, yeah, I kind of would have owned one of those.
How did the
that's
back
what my car is.
passengers relate to you that the seats were good?
I'm sorry?
How would the back passenger?
Because Hodge was back there.
Yeah.
No, remember it's.
I thought you meant
not the bed
no.
area. No. But I am taking.
I was like, who's
Hodge-
giving the review?
Hodge was sleeping in the coffin.
I am going to take all the stuff out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take all the shit out for the casket moving system.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull all that shit out, and we'll make it a proper bed back there.
Because
it should be.
It's the fact that it's not your elaborate Buddhist crazy temple.
It's not what I normally.
It's just
have.
a standard long roof.
Yeah, it's true.
And you're not wrong that it should just be a station wagon, like an extra length station wagon.
It is. That's what it is.
Can you break through the bulkhead between the station wagon part? Like to make it all one cavity?
I will. So that will happen. So yeah, that will be a thing that happens.
You know what's amusing to me is that we've had a lot of podcast listeners for years that know that like this is actually things that are true.
Yes.
But maybe people that have started to listen recently or started joining have no idea like what we're talking about when like you say, oh, one of your big pagoda, like they don't know yet that like you have sometimes cars with houses on them. Mysteriously.
Yes, very much.
No, Shinto shrine.
Yeah.
Shinto temples.
Yeah.
It is one of the strangest things that like.
I love the fact that Japanese people will walk across the street and make sure you don't cross their path.
Yeah, they're kind of weird about that, and it always trips me up because when I do drive past Japanese people and they're like they bite their thumb and they won't look at it because they're like there's just a thing they don't want to. They don't want to have their parents be in there, right? So that's kind of like a thing, and I get that. That's fine. It's just a weird thing.
And you've had multiples of those.
Many of these, yes. Yeah.
And see, now you have two black long roofs. You have a Crown and the Mercedes.
Yes.
Yeah. There's
and you have the Bukkake van.
I do have the Bukkake space. Go ahead and pull this one up, Sleepy. So this is one of them. This is the old one. This is the old 88.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's the 1989. We now know there's 400.
That was the 124.
There's 500, 128.
126.
That's a
W126 is that?
Is that a 126?
Sure
okay.
is.
Okay. I thought for some reason I was thinking it was a 128.
Well, because I had like the 123, which is the diesel craziness.
Yes, that's the E. This would be the S of the air.
Okay.
Yeah, it is definitely an S class. Mm-hmm. And so this one has 542 dragons on it.
But even seeing it, you until you're standing next to it with your hand on it, you don't understand how well that is built.
Until you're having sex in it in band camp.
This one's never been to band camp.
Oh, that was the Crown that went to band camp.
That was the Crown. The Toyota Crown was at band camp. Yeah, this one's never been to band camp. This is definitely one of those.
The walruses.
It's just definitely, I have a thing. I have a penchant for hearses to begin with.
Well, it's the Japanese are just going to give them away. You might as well take them.
They don't like them.
No,
they really don't.
When they're
like
done
them.
with them, they're just like, no, take it away.
They just don't. Yeah.
And even with it, because the Crown that you bought and somebody bought from you and then took the temple off the back.
Yeah, made it into El Camino.
And it was perfect. It was the perfect El Camino.
It was just.
And I was upset because I was like, well, what's going to happen to the back of it? But at the same rate, I was like, well, that is the perfect car.
If you can have a mid-sized El Camino with the reliability of a straight 6 2.5 liter Japanese motor and 4-on-the-tree transmission, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
I mean, that seems like a fucking no-brainer. There's not too many vehicles that I've owned that are just like that big Mercedes hearse I've got. It has 20,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
And it's 26 years old. And when you look at a vehicle that's 26 years old and you're like, that's not many miles. That's pretty fucking new. And it really is. And like you drive them and they feel tight. And they're just a tight vehicle because the Japanese maintain the piss out of them. And it's also working for a living. And it's not good marketing to have a dead guy on the side of the road. I say that in a very flippant manner, but it's absolutely true.
Oh, it's 100%.
And you want to make sure that your hearse is running good. You desperately want to make sure that you don't have a failure on the side of the road.
Isn't that like every comedy? Like the hearse breaks down and then the casket flops out and goes flying down the street?
It's absolutely a thing that it's been a joke for years and years and years, but not joking. They're well maintained, and they are well maintained, and I like them, and I just like the idea. I like the idea of station wagons anyway. Why can't you have a station wagon with a little panache? It's cool. I did finally drag up a picture of this fucking thing. So we'll give me a second. Give me a moment, and we'll throw a picture up for the folks at home just so they can see this mastery.
So
beast.
for work last week, I had to do the hot rod power tour. Up at thing. And to your point, man, this year was the year of wagons. There was fucking wagons everywhere.
Everyone likes a long roof.
And a lot of patinaed cars. Like now people are like, it's kind of like you're noticing that the guys figured out that it's way easier to not make a car nice.
Yes.
So like there's just 1,000 like beater cars in like the hot rod scene now.
It's it's funny too now where people are taking patina seriously. And they're like, okay, well, what do we really do to preserve it? Like, how do we keep it just the way it is and stop it? You can throw the picture up now. The patina.
Yes.
So that's what it is. Yeah, it's a really fucking long car.
Yeah, because the station wagon is not as long as that wheelbase is.
No, dude.
And then you add another 5 feet behind
They
it.
move the wheels back solid 2.5 feet.
Dude, if you look at it real tight and then like let your eyes just focus on the shiny part, it looks like a Dodge, a long bed Dodge. Like
long bed Dodge.
It literally does.
It's a long vehicle, and that bulkhead is going to be a problem because the bulkhead in the Volvo wasn't that big of a challenge to get out. Yeah. And I like the bulkhead being gone, so I like to pass things back and forth to the front and the back. But the way it is right now, no fooling, guys. Ricketts got stuck in one of my hearses. Amy Ricketts. A few years ago, I brought the gold Toyota Crown hearse out. We weren't thinking. And if you get into the thing, and it's beautiful and ornate on the inside as well as the outside, she decided that was where she was going to sleep for the night. And I had all the sleeping bags and shit. It wasn't like I was making her sleep on a fucking casket hauler or something, No. So she goes in. The problem is she goes in and somebody pushed the door and latched the door.
Whoopsies.
And when the door latched, when you're inside, there is no way out.
Yeah, I was going to say, they don't need to have an emergency release.
Why on earth would anybody ever need to get out? And this one is the same way. So like in any station wagon in the world, you go in the back of the station wagon. You go back in a sport utility vehicle. There's some sort of lever.
Right.
So that you can open up the hatch and get the fuck out.
Right.
Not this bitch. No.
It's like a refrigerator, a 1950s refrigerator.
Yeah, and the bulkhead is beautiful. So Alex Tazzi, our friend, used to work plastics in the marine industry. And Alex knows every kind of like, that's cold rolled polycarbonate. Like as soon as he saw it, he was like, yeah, that's really good workmanship. That's cold rolled polycarbonate. That'd stop a 38 caliber bullet. Right? Really badass to get that kind of seal of approval. Tom's opening up beverage.
The Taco Bell in West Baltimore uses that in the drive-thru.
Right, in the drive-thru. And so I'm going to have to take that whole bulkhead out so that we can pass things from the second seat to the room for making fun.
Could you actually, when you're in the car, could you look back and it's clear? You can see the casket laying back there?
You can. Yeah. And the back window is heavily tinted, but I can still see. And that's really a big deal when you drive hearses, is if the back window is completely opaque, then you only have your side mirrors to work with. And it is nice to be able to see behind you, especially when you're left or right-hand drive or something like that. This car happens to be left-hand drive, which is really, really convenient.
Yeah.
But I am going to take the bulkhead out. So I'm going to figure out how to take the bulkhead out, and we'll do that. But what's really fun is there is a come to service bell or gong. So about every hour or so, somebody would walk into the hearse and they'd press the button and it goes, Mom.
Yeah.
And it's got this really long decay.
It's a gentle bong horn.
It's like, it's awesome. And I love the tone it makes. And it is not beeping the horn. It is not, ringing a bell. It is very...
It's like an organ note. Like
Ooh,
and somebody was like, I think that's a second octave C, right? Yeah, it's definitely a Mid-Ohio wake-up calls. Yeah, it's really nice. It's just a fun car. But it is absurdly long. And it does have winter snow tires the whole way around because that's how they ship out of Japan.
It could be our call to start our hot yoga for the morning.
That's going to be the thing at Mid Ohio is we're going to have the yoga starting at 6.
It looks like it needs a load levelers in the back.
Well, so how this car works is it does have air ride suspension or pneumatic ride suspension.
okay.
So it actually has hydraulic ride adjusted suspension of the period. And this car...
Hydraulic?
It has fluid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I found the reservoir, and it's quite large. So this car, when it's turned off, it sits a little lower to help you get the casket in and out, to make loading and unloading the casket a little easier. Then as soon as you fire it up, then it comes up. So I found actually Scotty found it. Scotty, we were poking around under the hood, and I was like, why does this thing have a hydraulic? I mean, we know that hydraulic oil is for the brakes, and it has one of those for the brakes. It has another one that has a goddamn gallon of fluid in it that is for the for raising the vehicle up and putting it down,
to raise you into heaven.
I want to put a bypass on it so I can just be like and just jack it up and lower it down. Oh yeah,
Citroen style.
Citroen style, exactly. It's resting.
That's
Dude, if you put some 13 Daytons on that thing,
13 Daytons. I'm going the other way. I'm going to fill those arches up.
The 300 TD wagon I had for a while had the same thing. But because I got it for $500, it didn't work. So the whole rear end would just bounce around.
Absolutely.
It would drag ass like it had worms.
That's like every Lincoln Navigator over on the east side.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah. Luxury accommodation, vinyl tuck and roll straight from Italy.
Naugahyde finest.
Yeah, only the finest Naugas. The car was born in Germany and it got shipped to Italy. It got converted to a hearse in Italy, and then it went to Tokyo. Yep. There's some really nice lights up in the corner that lights up. It's very tasteful.
Really,
tour of the
really
axis.
classy.
Dude,
Yes,
you could totally do a mix match. And from your space band, if you brought the Coke mirrors and other stuff and put them into here, you could hang some chandeliers down, dude. You'd have a fucking rolling pimp slab, man.
If you put a short pole in the middle of that and found some midgets, you'd
There's no midget in the world short enough.
Come on, just make it a wedding limo.
Wait a minute. That's not a bad idea.
Barbie dolls couldn't work the pole in the back of this thing.
No disrespect.
I know guys that couldn't have an
think it's
erection in the
doable.
back of that thing.
In my mind, it's doable.
I could barely put my pants on in the back of that thing.
I'm not implementing my wife at all, but she's like 5. She could stand up in the back of that thing.
couldn't.
She is
She
tiny.
could. Yeah, she
This
could.
does make it look misleadingly large.
Right,
It
it does.
It's
It is
terribly
not
big.
that big.
A guy can dream.
Hey,
Oh, that's
what if we did a
hilarious.
panoramic roof in it that just opened up?
Oh my God.
Yes.
So back to things. 82,000 Harleys got recalled.
Oh, well,
That's a thing that happened. Apparently, recall. When I think of recall, I always like to imagine that it's on my motorcycle. It's on my motorcycle and it happens. So whatever the recall is, let's just think about it's on a motorcycle that I own. I'm riding down the road and it happened. So in fact, what's happened is on softails, which they make a lot of softails. So on the softails, the shock absorber mount on the back, which again, it's a softail. So the suspension goes flatty, flatty, flatty. So if you're thinking about shock absorbers in traditional position on most motorcycles, that's not where they are. Picture your Springer softail, Steve. Mm-hmm. The back suspension is under the bike.
Right. Yeah.
So the suspension under a Springer softail goes forward and backwards.
Under the
not
seat,
up and down. They're right at the bottom
It has a bunch of arms that do all the other
They're
parts.
all right at the bottom of the bike, and they go from the front of the bike to the back of the bike.
It's a cantilever thing.
And that's what softail suspension is. Apparently, they can break. And when they break, the really, really strong bits that hold the shocks go into your tires. It turns out having jagged metal jammed into your tire at 80 miles an hour is not good for the handling. It's also not good for the life expectancy of the operator. It's super duper bad. So if you own one of these, and I believe that we figured out that the year on this was 2018 to 2024, it's the rear shock preload adjuster, specifically the mounting tab, can break, and if it does, the adjuster can rub against the rear tire and potentially damage it. Worst case, you lose rear tire pressure suddenly while riding, a situation no one wants to be in. No shit. especially not on a 600-pound bike.
So think about this, and I'm not, I do like Harleys as well, so it's not a dog, but if your current bike needs to be serviced, you're never going to get your bike into service because now they have 82,000 fucking bikes to take care of.
When every single Goldwing broke, it was not a good time to own a Goldwing.
No.
And it was not a good time to own anything that wasn't a Goldwing that just needed a basic
All the guys
service.
that are like, I'm dropping my bike off for a quick oil change, that ain't happening anymore, man.
If you have any of the if your bike says FLDE, FLHC, FLHCS, FXLs, all the FXLs or the FXRs, get your bike into the dealer right fucking now. Don't ride it. Figure out what's going on. Don't fucking die because of a stupid broken bracket. It ain't worth fucking it. And then my favorite Harley Davidson story. I was up in Milwaukee a few years ago. Dr. Waters and I are in Milwaukee last year. And while we were there, we went to this really fun place called Central Standard Distillery. And they make whiskey there. And they make all kinds of cool things there. And they make sandwiches there. And they make food there. And we went into this cute little adorable distillery thing, like a microbrew pub thing, whatever. And we went in and I got irreparably fucked up and well fed in about 2 hours. And they were super nice people that came out to my table and made sure I was having a good time. And they were a very small place, maybe 35 seats in the whole place. Pretty small, but they were nice. And I thought they were very cool. And of course, I just went in there for, a little whiskey and a burger or something, pulled pork sandwich. And I got a full fucking tasting laid out for me, and they were very generous. Apparently, Harley Davidson can't use all their facility over on Juneau Street anymore. And so they're desperately looking for somebody to help them with their rent, which is terrifying because they've been there for over 100 years. 75,000 square feet is being taken over by Central Standard Distillery. 75,000 cool. Friends. If you're not into real estate, let me tell you that 75,000 square feet is 7.5 of my shops. That's pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
Where I come from, that's a big building. And well done, Central Standard, for taking over this historic location. And next time I'm in Milwaukee, I promise I'm going to stop in and let you get me fucked up again. Because they did such a good job of getting me fucked up the first time we were there when they only had about 2,000 square feet. So I can only imagine when they have like 35 times more square feet, how much more powerful they're going to be.
Yeah, but by the time you walk around the whole place, you're sober again. So then
it is pretty something. I'm very shocked to see that Harley Davidson's new strategy is sell our bones. Because that's not a good thing. They've had a tough year. They've had a particularly tough year.
I mean, it's weird. Motorcycling seems to have had a tough year or two, but at the same time, it seems like some sales and stuff are doing all right. So
it's different. Out of respect for my friends, I've got a lot of friends out there that aren't going to make it. To be honest, completely painfully honest with you. You can throw the picture up.
I feel like I got another year in me, Phil. I'm just letting you know.
That'd be a nice place to have a drink, wouldn't it? Yeah, it seems like a good place to have a drink. I love it. Now, I get a lot of friends who own shops that, the things we saw happening in 2009, they're worse now. So the stuff that shot a lot of people down in 2009, it's actually worse out there at the moment.
So is this like a place like $2 shots for $1 or something? Or?
I have 2 shots for $1. Yeah.
It looks like those are not going to be cheap drinks.
No, they're not going to be cheap.
Sleepy, it's Wisconsin. It's probably 3 shots for $1.
Nice. You want to roll? Hey, you want to roll for it?
But you have to you have to bring in the whole buck so they can process it and then turn it into sausage.
You want to get a pickleback or no? You want a pickleback? Right. You want a pickleback? Okay, I'll play the bartender for it. There are going to be a lot of people that aren't going to make it this year for the motorcycle industry. There's going to be a lot of dealers that don't make it. There's already been a lot of dealers that I know that already announced that they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
So, out of deference to them, we're also 40% down. Keep in mind, we're 40% down. But unlike everyone else, we're from Cleveland. We've been preparing for this for 25 years. The difference between Cleveland money and anywhere else money is that Cleveland money understands that we're one football coach away, we're one bad season away, we're one burning river away from a career-ending event.
You've been going out of business since the day you opened.
That's the joke.
Well,
right?
yeah,
I've been practicing going out of business for 25 years.
Cleveland is 40% down from everybody else in the rest of the world anyway.
Anyway, that's exactly right.
It, coming from somewhere where it's too expensive to live.
Right. That's absolutely true.
It's really refreshing.
Yeah.
Like being here is like, my car insurance went down and suddenly I have expendable cash again. It's weird.
A shocking amount of culture for the low cost of living.
Exactly.
And that's what most people say.
Don't move here and ruin it.
Well, we had one of our visitors come in, and his girlfriend, he's a guy that I've known forever in the music industry kind of fella.
Yeah.
And he came in, and his girlfriend is also in the music industry, and she's a Vegas person. So she has a whole life in Vegas.
Yeah, I know.
With classic cars and classic bikes and the whole thing in Vegas. She's maintaining all that. And she's working in Cleveland now, part-time.
Yeah.
And she's like, I love Cleveland. Yeah. It is everything that Vegas is not. And she's like, I really love it here. I want to move my whole operation to Cleveland because I can jump in a plane and go to Vegas.
Yeah. That's Frontier. You've got status.
Right. It's $59, right?
I agree with this 100%.
Yeah.
I love where we live and stuff. But then I go to like the Blue Ridge Mountains and I'm like, oh yeah, this exists.
This exists.
But you can be there in hours.
Doesn't take long.
Yeah,
Right.
you're right.
Take
You're
long.
right. But like, it would be nice to be
I can I went to New Orleans. I went back to New Orleans for Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Like I went to Shallow Mardi Gras. I went to Croix de View and a couple other things that I love, and it wasn't the same. The feel was gone. It was not the same anymore because I'm gone. I'm not there. I'm not tied into it. And now I look at it and I'm like, wow, it's grubby as shit. And I come back here and it's quiet. It's nice. It's casual.
Nobody puked on your doorstep.
Nobody tried to rob me. I don't, there were no, well, I'm going to bring up shooting, but nobody got shot near me. Except the bike that Phil rode this night.
Right, exactly.
Well, you got the DGV. Now I got the DGD.
So you have the dead guy Dodge.
And now you.
And I rode.
So not necessarily intending to transition, but transitioning into a conversation that we had earlier.
Shit happens. Not too far away from here, just a few blocks away from here. Apparently, somebody had a bad fucking day and got murdered.
Yeah.
What'd you say, 10 o'clock?
So I was on test ride.
Yeah.
And I had just finished a bike. It was 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. I went and I was going to cut down Munn, which is right around the corner, and come back to the house and pick something up. And instead, I was like, well, fuck this. I need to put some more miles on it. So I went up to Marginal, which is up by the interstate, because I'm learning my neighborhood.
Okay.
And drove down Marginal and then back down Warren and to the house. And by the time I got to the house and then back to the shop, my phone exploded because I'm on the West Park group.
Yeah.
And I'm on
all the things, right?
And I'm on all the things because, you're tied in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And my phone was just blowing the fuck up. And I'm like, what in the shit is going on? And sure enough, somebody had gotten shot literally 5 blocks away. Are you looking up John's nose again?
No, he was blocking your head.
No, I will stick the Penisaurus Rex up his ass again.
Did you smell that thing yet and figure out where it's been?
I have no idea. Right. And so, I got back to the shop, and you were on the test ride too. Like we were both on opposing test rides.
Stuff, yeah.
And I got back, and my phone was exploding. And sure enough, somebody had gotten shot 5 blocks away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this doesn't happen here. It does not, because
it's not a thing.
And I've even told you, I said I don't wake up counting gunshots shots anymore.
It's not a thing here.
And so a couple of weeks goes by, and we're at band camp, and Merritt shows up and says, hey, there's this guy, somebody passed away on Munn.
Yeah.
And there's a GTV and some other stuff involved. And I'm like, that's a weird coincidence.
Yeah, there it is.
And sure enough, it was this guy that had gotten shot by his neighbor.
Yeah. And the neighbor's a super duper bad guy.
The neighbor was not a nice guy. And then he ended up, during the thing, he shot the neighbor, which was the guy that owned the GTV. And then he fucked off to the park.
This is the dude who did the shooting. This is the bad guy.
Yeah,
by the way. We'll throw it up just for fun, just because. Fuck this guy.
I don't know what was going on with this guy, but
this guy has a criminal record longer than my dick. It is not pleasant. He's been in and out so many times, and not a great human being. Not at all the neighbor you want to have.
Yeah.
You think you got a neighbor from hell? Well, Tom Overall's worse. He's got you beat on that one. Super bad. Tom.
And this guy.
Tom was the nicest guy I've ever met.
Yeah.
I mean, really nice guy. I worked with him for a while.
No, you got to pop it up.
We'll throw it up real quick.
He had retired, and he rode bicycles for he was one of those guys that
century rider,
100-mile rides, and had touring and gone across the country.
That GTV has 19,000 miles on it, which is not a small feat.
No, it's legit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Tom's been a customer of ours for a long time, and it really was something. I did not make the association when
he was
happened.
A gentle person.
Yeah. Super nice guy.
I don't know how you ended up getting unlucky and running into this.
Well, he lives next door to him.
Apparently, he was a neighbor.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate. The thing is, the attorney came into the shop and said, "Hey, I need you to do an appraisal for a bike." Gave me the description of the bike. I said, "Well," he goes, "You need to come out and look at it." I said, "I don't need to come out and look at it. This is fucking what I do."
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it's worth. Like, if you just need it for the record, for the estate planning or whatever, I can tell you out of my head what your bike's worth. And he starts explaining it, and I was like, oh shit, okay. And so I wrote him up a thing, gave him an appraisal. He sent away. I don't want any money for that. That's fine. Just go do your thing. So he disappeared, and he came back and he goes, "Hey, I want to let you know, we're done. The house is done. We're empty. If you want the bike, come and get it." And I said, oh, all right. And he goes, we know what the appraisal was for. And I said, well, I'm not going to give you the appraisal. The appraisal is retail value. I'm going to buy everything wholesale. I got to sell it. And he was totally fine. He's like, great, cool. Write me a check. Come and get the bike. And I said, well, when can I come get the bike? He goes, you have 2 hours. And I went, whoa, 2 hours, huh? Yeah, 2 hours. So I showed up, as I said I would, in 2 hours. And I got there, and then it all came together. Then for me, it was like, oh shit, I know that bike. That bike has been in my shop a dozen times. We sold that bike.
Well, it's only like a quarter of a mile from the shop.
He's literally local.
He's closer than I am to the shop.
Yeah, he's closer. That's absolutely true. And so I was like, oh man, that sucks. And so then I put it all together. And so as I'm getting ready to load the bike up, because the bike starts and runs, like it's fine. It's just been sitting for a while. And so I start the bike and roll it up, and he goes, oh, by the way, he goes, this is the cousin attorney, executor of the estate. He goes, do you want these bicycles? And I was like, bicycles? I like weird bicycles, whatever. Yeah. So he gave me a old Cannondale F500, which is one with the center post shock absorber on the front. Those are kind of fun. So he gave me one of those mountain bikes. He gave me a Trek Aluminum 1100, which is a stalwart, great road bike. Nothing wrong with it. But he gave me a Miata. I love those Japanese bikes. I think they're so cool.
Columbus steel, right?
Yeah, it's so cool. And it's got all the cool shit on it. Clips set up for all the pedals and just like really nice. Like this guy
have like an old campy set or a camp hog.
I got to look at it. I haven't looked at the gear set.
And the best part was you got the helmet with the mirror.
I did get a good helmet with a mirror on it. So
now at Mid Ohio you can watch everybody walking up.
Fucking watch you fuckers sneaking.
Hey,
up
you
on
can
me.
laugh about that shit, dude. When you're training, because I raced bicycles.
Oh yeah.
When you're training for a long time and you're in your groove, those little mirrors can save your ass. Because with the mirror you could put at least one headphone in, because otherwise you'd want to have one ear out. But that mirror, if you did hear something, you could at least look in the mirror and see if anything was coming to kill you or not.
Absolutely.
That was total. It was a completely weird happenstance.
I'm triggered. I'm an ex-cyclist.
Totally
I defend
triggered.
him like a motherfucker now because I used to take so much shit for fucking being a cyclist. I'm like, fuck you.
And these bikes aren't worth any money.
No.
But I like them.
Well,
I'm just that kind of a guy.
Could be. I mean, if like that, like a Columbus steel bike, those frames are always worth something.
They're always worth something. Yeah, they're pretty cool. And, it's like, the 710s and stuff, those Miata, I like those bikes. They're just part of like my kind of history.
Do they have lugs and everything?
Yeah.
Like the things, all the nice, pretty.
It's nice. It's real pretty. The welds are real pretty. It's a cool bike. Hey, remember earlier on when we heard from Meaty Ogre? Yeah. The Meaty Ogres check-in.
Oh, did they send a picture?
The Meaty Ogres, they did send a picture.
Yay!
So I'm going to give you the readout first. So here's the lineup of East Nashville, Tennessee's Meaty Ogres ride out tonight. It was a Bonneville T100. Yay!
Nice.
A Trail 125, a Hunter Cup. An Enfield Continental GT 500, probably. A BMW R1200C. That's...
Yeah.
A C, R1200C. That's not the Cruiser, though.
No, that's the chopper. The BMW chopper. Yeah,
okay.
R1200C.
All right, KLR 650, SV 650, Tiger 1050, RS660, a ZRX 1200, a GTS 300 in Racing 60s livery.
I always like that.
Team Lotus.
The Winston cigarettes.
A Buddy Kick 125.
Nice.
My wife's and arguably one of the best scooters for the general public, and a Versys 650.
That's a hell of a group right there.
That is a hell of a group. So if you want to
Yeah.
go ahead and pull the screen up real quick, I want to take you through a quick photo journal. So there's the boys hanging out.
multiple.
Nice.
All right.
And then here we go. Here's a shot of the ZRX.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the green with the yellow.
Yeah.
The Lotus livery,
Yeah.
man. The Lotus livery is so tasty.
I love the Winston smoking Racing 60, but I love the green
That's
and
the
yellow.
Team Ferrari.
I miss
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, the Team Ferrari
Dude,
versus the Team Lotus.
That was like, I always liked Vespas, but that was the first time I walked into your shop and was like,
Oh, the Racing 60s,
Oh, dude.
they nailed it.
oh, fuck.
They just nailed it.
That is why
Yeah.
I'm here.
Gold wheels.
And the thing
that's
is, you
an
didn't have to tell me that was a Lotus-inspired thing. I was like, obviously, that's a Lotus-inspired paint scheme.
That was
Like,
just duh.
Yeah.
You just walked in, you're like, duh.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
What's funny is they came in two colors. So they came in the white with the red stripes, Team Ferrari.
Yeah.
They came in the Lotus, green with the yellow stripes.
Yeah.
And they had the beautiful gold outline on the yellow stripes. They're just so nice. Like the extra touch that proves they care. And then the gold wheels. And the bike was so fucking cool.
And now they can't be bothered to cut the stripes.
No, not at all. Not even a little
It's
bit.
like, what the fuck?
And it's funny because when those bikes came out, I think that it wasn't the kind of thing where they were like, oh, people are going to really love these. It's going to be a big seller. No, they fucking underproduced the shit out of these bikes.
Yeah.
And they did a full cartoon series, like of anime style cartoons.
I remember.
And they were brilliant. And they were so cool that they made you want to buy the bikes.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just one of those things that when every once in a while, Piaggio just fucking nails it. And
Like-
in this case, they nailed it.
Like the Lindt chocolate Liberty
The
one.
Lindt Chocolate Liberty 150. Oh my!
That is still my
Is
favorite.
it the Lindt one or the Bocce
It's
one?
Lindt. Oh, is it Bocce? It's
Yeah,
Bocce.
my mom laments
I was gonna
missing
say-
out on
It's
the
got the
Bocce
star-
bike.
it's
when
got
your
the
mom came in, we
stars.
gave her candy.
It's got the
Yes.
stars all over it. It's hysterical.
She came in and we
she-
straight up gave her candy.
She literally, whenever I go to the podcast, she's like, "Tell Phil I want that bike," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "It's gone."
Oh,
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Oh, but the Lucky Dragon.
You can pull this picture up.
The Lucky Dragon 68 is still there though.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's a good looking bike.
That's a
They
fucking
did balance the
good-looking
colors
bike, man.
very
And I had
well.
the stripes on the top box.
Yeah, you did. Yours was so correctly done, so tastefully done, and then so fucking murdered.
So fucking murdered.
It's one of those ones where you're like,
I still remember going to see it at the yard.
"You've killed me, Scooter.
Yeah, sure did.
You
I
killed
just-
me, Scooter."
I just realized, were you buying your bike when I was prepping bikes for Phil?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
you might have
Absolutely.
prepped my.
You prepped his
you might have
bike.
prepped
Oh
my
my
Racing
God,
60.
dude.
There's
No,
no
but
doubt about it. You
No,
prepped his
yeah.
bike.
On top of that, though, but I remember the interact. I was like, "Oh, that guy seemed fun. Like you were just fun. You were so
Thank you.
excited about buying a scooter."
Yeah,
Right. I remember how stoked you were. I never knew that until right now.
Yeah. Oh, you
that's
didn't?
hilarious. No.
Yeah, you prepped his bike. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's fucking
It's
hilarious.
that was another fun time though when you were working at the shop.
Oh
'cause-
fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's always
dude.
Well, thank you for doing that. But
yeah, no problem. Dude, if I could figure out a way to just work there,
I know.
I would do it.
I know.
That was so fun.
If you could figure out a way to work there, I'd be happier.
Yeah, I would never tell anybody to give up their day job, right?
No.
But we do have a lot of fun at the shop, and it is the kind of thing where it's like choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
So like if you want it to be fun, you can make it be fun.
Well, and there's enough like excitement, like, oh shit, did I just strip that bolt? No. Oh, okay. There's enough of that though that your heart goes up and down a little bit, you know. So it's like, all right.
Did I just really fuck this up?
Yeah. Or the worst with the Vespas is
Or you
not
just
so
give
much.
it to Tom, and Tom's like, no, hold on. Deep breathing. And I extracted it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tom has the magic of extraction. I
Fucking-
do not know how he does it.
The fact that there's not rust up here does help.
This is crazy.
Yeah, but dude,
well, no, I say that wrong.
I
Because
just remember
Cleveland has a
those-
weird kind of corrosion.
yep.
But
I
if it's
just remember putting on all those fucking silver things on the side, and you get in there, and if you drop the fucking bolt, that one thing, and it went down
Yeah.
into the fucking frame,
It's done.
Oh, dude.
Oh.
It's fucking done.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
It
don't-
is it's a funny place to work because like with our new apprentice with Sarah, so she comes in and like the whole thing is my job is to train her to the point where she can be released to Tom. But
Yeah.
you do not, and don't take this the wrong way, but like if you're training an apprentice mechanic, You don't want them to hate their job the first week, right? Mm-hmm. So for the first few weeks that they're working, you have to teach them how the bikes go together. So step one is, how do they go together? So you have them prep the bikes so they can see where the pieces all go. Because it's no good if you just don't give somebody instructions. You take a bag of Lego brick. You take a bag of Lego brick and you just throw it on the floor and tell them that's the Taj Mahal. Good luck. They're never going to fucking do it. Right? So what you have to do is you have to start them with the smaller kits and get the smaller kits together first. So they understand the way the parts work and everything else. And then eventually they can build the Taj Mahal Lego kit. But they can't do it if you're just going to throw the brick on the floor. So I've been kind of teasing her. So prepping different kinds of bikes, prepping motorcycles, prepping Moto Guzzis, prepping Moto Marinis, prepping scooters. Now she's doing an accessory packages and stuff like that. So the things that require some fitment, as the British say, which is the scariest fucking words on the planet, is requires some fitment. Because required some fitment sometimes means both feet and your back. And you're like reefing on something and you're like, it'll line up eventually. John learned all about where Royal Enfield put holes. Not even in the same fucking vicinity as to where the bolts are on the other side of them. Yeah. Some fitment required. It's not common sense. And you've got to sneak up on it. Because eventually, I'm going to send her back to Tom. And when I send her back to Tom, she's going to have to be able to extricate the life-giving fluids out of the vehicles, right? In a predictable manner, without turning my service department into the Exxon goddamn Valdez.
We'll start her on the kick.
Yeah.
Because that's the easiest one.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then we'll move her to the buddy, because that one's got an oil filter.
Right. Yeah. And get the progression of the things so that after about 6 months.
First oil filter that doesn't want to come off.
Yeah.
Oh. Yep. Do I poke a screwdriver through it? Well, then it could just tear the whole bottom off.
It could.
I've got a special set of adjustable pliers just for those filters.
Or just even a stuck drain plug.
Exactly.
Right. Oh, believe me, the number of engine cases that have been removed because of just a stuck drain plug.
Yeah, I think that was the first bike that I worked on at the shop. Was a CB350. Mm-hmm. Got it running everything. Went to change the oil, and I was like,
well, so,
and then I put like a long breaker bar, and I was like, I'm like, excuse me, Phil, you need to come back here. This thing's ready to snap off.
Yeah. Yep.
I held the socket and the breaker bar on, and he's like, well, here we go. And I'm like, bam, he kicks it, and it broke loose, and I'm like, okay, yay.
Because
let him break it.
John is very good about let the owner break the shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, when I get to the point where I'm like, oh, this could be fucking so bad.
I mean, because right now I'm dealing, because after today of the vintage bike that you were like, no, because you told me, you said no more.
No more. If there's not fucking snow on the ground.
Yeah.
If there's not fucking snow on the ground, we are done working on vintage shit.
But the red one?
Well, no, it's orange.
Or the orangey one.
But the funniest part is, like, I have spent all day finally cranking out this P125. Yeah. But in the same right, on the opposite bench, there's a Liberty 150 that has been infested by mice. Right. One turn signal doesn't work. Right. But it requires me to tear the entire bike apart. So literally I have a P125 blown apart and a Liberty 150 blown apart, and they're taking the same exact amount of time.
And the thing is, and what you don't know is from the front of the shop, as a little bit of insider baseball, if you come to me and you say, I would like to have this bike repaired, modified, it's a vintage bike, and these are things that I know is going to take a long time, and I appreciate, thank you for doing it, because nobody else fucking will. I'm not going to do it. I'm giving you money because I appreciate your skills, and you're going to do something that is literally the book stopped being written on this 30 years ago. Check. Or you let mice get into your fucking garage. Yeah. Okay? Here's the thing. You let mice get into your fucking garage. You knew you had mice in your garage because I told you about that when I picked up your other two bikes from them. I told you had mice in your fucking garage, and you just let them just continue to breed. And you have more mice in your garage. So this to me is you lost all your rights to a speedy and expeditious repair when your problem is you don't do good housekeeping. And I know a little bit about the guy, and if he lost his bike for 4 months, nobody'd fucking die. But meanwhile, the other guy has been super cool to us, right? And he deserves to be a little closer to the front of the line than the guy with the mice-eating wiring harness and everything else. So at the end of the day, though, if we have 35 bikes in the service department, I get 35 calls on Friday. Now, if you've never worked in a shop before, when you get 35 calls on Friday that all have the same basic theme, I don't have my bike, and it's your fault. That's 35 calls. Now, what I could say is, well, maybe if you were 1/10 of a better bike owner, you'd have your bike right now. But your lack of any sort of maintenance whatsoever for the 9 years I didn't see you has precipitated the situation you're in right now. And by the way, I was hungry, cold, and lonely through all the burr months, September, October, November, December, when I could have been working on this shit, and it wouldn't have been a big deal.
More or less gladly working on it, because that's the thing. The difference of somebody wanting to work on your shit and somebody that's like, okay, let me get this fucking thing out of here, is a huge difference.
Lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part ever.
I mean, you bring me an intensive project in October,
right?
And you're going to pay me. Right. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's keep the fires. Let's keep the fires lit.
Right now, it is literally turn, burn, and earn.
Right now, when it's 60% of the bikes that are showing up haven't seen an oil change in 9 fucking years or 5 fucking years.
They haven't seen fresh gas in 9 years.
And it's like, oh well, I guess I should dig that motorcycle out of my garage and start riding it. And I'll just take it to these guys. They worked on it last, so let's take it in. And I love when the guy shows up 9 years after we did a service, and he's like, well, I didn't want to say anything, but it never ran right after the last time you touched it. That was 5 fucking years ago.
Well, it's certainly not going to run better now.
So here's my tip for you. Whatever you think you just achieved by telling me that it hasn't ridden right for the past 5 years and you didn't call me in 5 years about the work that we would have brought back in and taken a look at again instantly had you told me it wasn't running right on the way home, whatever psychology you think, whatever sort of mental judo you think that just was, burn that book, because you just became my lowest fucking priority. And I am going to, in the nicest way possible, back burner your shit. Because you literally, not only did you say I haven't maintained my shit for 5 years, but you blamed me for you not riding it for the past 5 years. So what I am is not your bitch. Ever. And when you come in treating me like your bitch, like I'm going to give you a discount now because, I remember the last time I was here, it wasn't cheap. No, it wasn't. That's right.
Well, the good news is we carry iPhone flavored lubrication now.
Well, here's the thing.
So when you go to fuck your hat.
So when you fuck your hat, it smells like strawberries.
So let me give you a different perspective on this too, though. This is a different perspective on what you just said. So how many people, though, go into a dealership and are actually dealing with the owner that can make the actual decisions on the spot for everything that they're doing?
Never.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So they're used to going into places where some dude's making 8% on a fucking sale or 4% or whatever.
Well,
and he's got to blow everybody in that building, including the guy that's in the fucking thing. So he's got to be like,
I had a guy today tell me that he wanted me to go tell my general manager.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
That's my point.
And he's like, look, I know. What I'm trying to do here is I want to get $500 off. So go tell your general manager.
Oh.
And I went,
wait. Did you send Renee out?
No, it was over the telephone. And I was like, you don't get it, do you?
Oh, did you send him? You didn't send him to me.
I just said,
let me talk to him. Okay.
Well, that was always the joke.
I'm the general manager.
That was literally always the joke. Is they wanted to send, dial 3 for the mechanic, and it's going to be me in the toilet just telling you to go fuck yourself.
Dude, no, next time, they're like, let me talk to the general manager. You go, oh, I'm sorry, he's out today. Would you like to speak to the owner?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, you are.
Cool, you're on the phone.
Hello, Seattle, you're on the line.
I still say you just send those calls.
I always say the same thing. I'm like, hey, how you doing? They're like, oh, I recognize that voice. Are you the guy from the videos? I'm like, yeah, I'm the guy from the videos.
Nah, it's key.
Oh, wow. They all get it. Everyone gets it. This guy today, he didn't get it. And I was like, all right. But in his defense, at the end of the conversation, he did buy 3 Vespas.
Hey.
I mean,
Merritt
was there twice today.
I'm going to tell you,
3 Vespas, I'm going to bet you in about a month I know what his dick tastes like. Yeah. Because if you buy 3 Vespas from me in this economy, you have my attention.
So anybody out there in listener land, if you want a good deal, right now is the time to make one.
Oh yeah.
All right,
absolutely.
we're heading way over 2 hours, 30 minutes.
Go.
But we did leave one thing off.
Yeah.
Jokes?
Well, no, you never. So we talked about it, but then you never mentioned that you actually ended up with Dead Guy Vespa.
So yeah, I did. I went over to the place and I picked up the bike in question. I put air in the tires and I rode it here tonight so we could have a Dead Guy Vespa to park next to your Dead Guy Dodge.
It's all the Dead Guy stuff.
It's Dead Guy shit.
I know.
It is Dead Guy stuff. And it is.
Out for Tom.
Oh man, Tom.
Yeah,
sorry,
that was really shitty.
Well,
I mean, really, really
yeah,
shitty.
Right. I would have thought when I looked that guy's criminal record up, the guy that fucking ended him. I looked that guy's record up and I was like, man, I cannot believe this guy's on the streets.
But Tom, did you say the important part? So that guy did go and end himself, though, right?
Yeah.
Correct. He
did.
Okay.
He did.
I mean, not that that's great. He should have just done that in the first place. But,
But there was another murder that happened in the park that they're also attributing to him now.
oh shit!
Oh God!
A double homicide.
Damn.
So there was a double homicide in the Metro Parks.
Oh, they're bringing that back to that guy?
So they're bringing it back to that guy.
Oh,
yeah. So they're kind of
I
like.
saw that all on the TV, but it didn't look like that guy, and it didn't show a picture of Tom.
that is wild.
Yeah, and so this is much after the fact. They're kind of putting it together that probably was that guy.
Wow.
Because that clearly was a spot that meant something to him. So if that's where he went back and ended himself, like
because he was
look,
like
the Metro Parks is a big place.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have 3 corpses within like an eighth of a mile in the Metro Parks, something's going on. It's not just like divining rods and fucking ley lines and shit. I got to believe it's more likely that's that dude.
Oof.
That's his spot.
damn.
So who knows what else happened back there? Because the guy's got a long history of being a fucking dick, like being a bad human.
When Renee looked him up, it was like no good.
No, it's fucking no good.
And it was totally somebody who probably should have been shunted off to a mental hospital to get some help.
Yeah,
and never did.
No, and the point being that he had just gotten to the point where there wasn't any. There wasn't.
Done.
I mean, I hate to use the term. There wasn't any saving that guy, but he clearly. You know, as we used to say in the military, there's a problem with duds is they kill good soldiers, right? And that's a problem with a dud. When you've got somebody that's dangerous like that, the problem isn't just the damage they're going to do to themselves. The problem is their blast radius for society as a whole. And that's always fucking horrible.
And he went off in the worst possible way.
Yeah, and that's just it. So, you just got to be careful. The second, because we've had other people that in our shop's history of our customers that have, murdered their wives or whatnot. And so I immediately took 10 minutes to just type in guys that I thought in my current customer database that were like, I don't feel good when this guy shows up. Like when this guy turns up, my spidey senses started tingling. And so I started punching some names in. I was like, oh shit, man, there's a reason. Apparently my spidey senses are well calibrated. No. Yeah. So,
well, to your credit and to Mac's credit as well, you both were cops.
Well, and
so a lot of that is.
Well, no, we already forgave him for that.
But there's
there's a lot of that
being around fucking a lot of people, right? Yeah. And just being around a lot of people.
That guy seems like an asshole.
If you're in any people-facing industry for a while, you start to pick up that skill.
I lived in a World War I building with over 1,300 other men between the ages of 18 and 25. I know it sounds like a party to some people, but to me, yeah. I have
Coming in at
Benjamin.
The end
Jesus
here,
Christ,
man.
Ben.
Well, thanks.
Ben throwing us beer money.
More liquor.
Holy shit.
Ben's like, wind this shit up, dude.
So Chris, since Chris isn't here.
Yeah.
Since Chris isn't here.
Chris is not here.
What kind of shoes do frogs wear?
I don't know.
Open-toed sandals.
And on that bombshell.
Oh my God. Oh, fuck. Ride fast. Take chances. Get us out of here, John. Get us out of here.
Bum, 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 bum,
Hit the red button. Eject. Get us out of here.